Do this with you as I update you, educate you, entertain you, and equally inform you on technically what is happening around you and across a board. And it's also important that you note that it's not like I'm Mr. Know-it-all, so I welcome you to tell us what is happening around you equally. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. And even as I bring pundits on board to decipher on the issues that are of importance to us, we also value your feedback, and indeed on the very same platform you can as well tell us what it is that you think about the subjects of the day. We obviously are going to discuss the politics of the nation. I mean, 3 years into the handshake, what way forward? We'll be having members of parliament joining us for that very conversation. Even as we look at the intrigues that are taking center stage within the level of the houses, just to address the crucial issues. We're talking about matters BBI. We equally are talking about the aspect of the treasury being capped as to borrowing locally. What does it mean? What will be the implications? So make sure that you keep it right here as you also give us your feedback and your view in regards to these issues. These members of parliament will be telling us what it is that they think and what has informed some of the decisions that they have made. Karibu sana, and it is always good to do this with you. As always, the newspapers, the Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, and the People Daily. This is the Daily Nation front page. Here you go. Raila taken ill, advised to go into isolation. Nature of illness was not immediately clear, though aides explained that Mr. Odinga was experiencing body ache and feeling tired. He underwent several tests at the Nairobi hospital, before doctors recommended 2 weeks of isolation. A story captured on page 4. And equally, as they would put it, credible information equally speaks of Tanzanian President John Pombe Magufuli, and also equally undergoing isolation right here in Nairobi. What could be the problem is what we are waiting to see, and so we'll be following up closely on the health of these crucial, individuals. We call them public figures. It is important that you are updated accordingly, and so we'll be here to update you on that. Away from it, Freedom on Friday. Uhuru holds key while struggling businesses and restless Kenyans that are deprived of nightlife are waiting for President Kenyatta's address with bated breath. And of course, they are anticipating that he will lift the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew. But experts who advise the head of state on measures or to contain COVID-19 or the spread of coronavirus might have other ideas, especially at this point where the numbers are going up, or at least what it is that has been projected. A story captured on page 10 and 11. Tell us, what are your expectations? Come Friday, if the head of state is going to address the nation, do you expect him to lift the curfew? Do you suppose that this has come in handy to shrink the economy as such? And would it be wise for him to consider lifting the curfew? This even as more stories or more intrigues are coming on board. Tekra gave Lali millions. Omar Lali, boyfriend of Keroche Breweries, here rests. That is Tekra Muigai, may her soul rest in peace. Bargained for love but ended up receiving millions of shillings from her. Inquest is told, and this is in regards, or this is a statement by the mother. Story captured on page 3. This case is still ongoing as to what exactly culminated until Tekra lost her life. And away from it, TSC to hire about 37,000 teachers next year. A story captured on the back page. State moves to stem crisis in secondary schools. Remember, the ratio of students to teachers, or the ratio of teachers to students, has extremely been low for the longest of time, and probably this will to help on board and ensure that students at least are able to receive quality education, but importantly also is a form of job creation, which of course COVID Africa leader at a national hospital. A story captured on page 8 also, that I'm sure is in regards to Tanzanian President John Pombe Magufuli. And so that is what has been captured on the front page of the Daily Nation. And coming to a different newspaper, yes, the People Daily, as it downloads. Let's see what the Standard speaks of. Omar Lali received about 1.2 million from Tekra Keroche boss, tells the inquest. And of course, that one we've touched on. It is a mother in pain for losing the daughter, and equally, well, she remains adamant, or the family remains adamant, that Lali could have had a hand on the death of their very own daughter. Away from it, lessons learned, lending money to SMEs. That is also in matters of business. And Raila's options. Well, if things fall apart, what would happen? In the aftermath of last weekend's outburst by close associates of Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and also those ones of President Uhuru Kenyatta, they have been quick to dismiss fears raised as a mere storm in teacup. But what would happen in the event that this push came to shove? Well, what would be of the ODM leader Raila Odinga, the excitement, the fears, the aspect of the BBI, what would it mean? And of course, the Standard speaks of an exploration where they just get to understand the nitty-gritty details and the possibilities of what would play out after this, as they would call it, the troubled handshake. Yesterday, it hits 3 years. What have Kenyans benefited out of them? What were the expectations of the two leaders? What were the expectations of their foot soldiers? And so much so. So yes, that is also one subject that we'll be looking at today, even as the members of parliament weigh in their sentiments in regards to this. Inside visit to Sacred Shrine of Gor Mahia. Well, that's a whole different story, more or less like a feature aspect of it. You can grab a copy and get to understand some more of that on page 20 of the Standard newspaper. Grade 4 pupils seat national assessment. And remember, the process has been there, marred with a lot of controversies, but equally the government maintains that this has to proceed. And so is the case, even as it is considered as, that class of inception, as we get to understand what direction this would take and whether it will be instrumental towards ensuring that students get the best of matters education in the country. And of course, we'll be looking at all this outrage over death of infants in incubator. That is a story that is on page 3. You must have come across that, which is pretty heartbreaking, or so to speak, as reports have it that it's an intern that, of course, put lots of temperature that is into the incubator, getting about 7 children or 7 babies losing their life, which is pretty much unfortunate. And the biggest question as to just how serious are we, even with the students that we bring on board, in terms of ensuring that there's proper supervision as to how they handle some of these occurrences. We'll be looking at that as we proceed. But importantly, to the People Daily and the front page of the People Daily, Uhuru Raila meet to calm jitters on BBI, or the key story, so to speak. Stating ship allies of the two handshake partners have been holding a series of behind-the-scenes talks to trash out issues that threaten the political union. A story captured on page 6 as of yesterday. There were reports that these individuals are supposed to meet in State House alongside allies to Right Honorable Raila Odinga and those ones to President Uhuru Kenyatta, but such did not play out, as it was reported that the two gentlemen were busy also attending to other issues. Orengo says the handshake is strong, and that is why the leadership of both houses is working together. Interesting to note that is the very same guy who spoke of, civil servants within the government trying to alter the activities of the handshake. On the other hand, Mudavadi says there has been no meeting today as had been anticipated. I think state matters took precedence. That should be yesterday's meeting as expected, and the utterances of Mudavadi right there. And to a different conversation altogether, in regards to COVID-19, yes, the jabs got into the counties, and here is a picture of Kiambu Chief in charge of Health, Patrick Nyaga, receiving the COVID-19 jab at Thika Level 5 Hospital, and looking on the CEC Health's Joseph Burega. And that is to say that even as we had lots of fears as to whether we could trust the vaccine, medics themselves questioning the same, they have gone out there to at least exhibit at this point, and just getting the jab, one that has been administered in different other countries. And as to what they have seen, as much as it's in the stages of inception, it is important to note that the jab has been proven to be effective. The AstraZeneca that landed into the country sometimes last week, and getting most of the people, now speaking of who is going to get, who's going to be given the first priority, and we get to see whether it will be instrumental in the curbing of COVID-19. Doctors warn of a new COVID-19 strain in Kenya. This is also an interesting but sad to note one. Variant exhibits strange symptoms, among them aches and pain in the chest, discoloration of toes and fingers, skin rashes, vomiting, acute diarrhea. Do not forget that one where you sort of lose your taste or sense of taste and smell. And so that means you need to constantly be on high alert. Remember, it is important that you still maintain the guidelines that were given. Make sure that you keep a social distance. Make sure that you always have your clean mask on. Make sure that you sanitize and wash your hands, because the Ministry of Health notes that we have gotten to that level of laxity. And actually, it is not about them noting it. At least we walk around and you get to see how we've just decided to be calm and not do the necessary things that are expected of us. So remember, the virus is still here with us, so it is important that we maintain that care that is expected. Parliament receives bill to allocate counties about 410 billion. Like I said, we'll be having parliamentarians this morning, and the story that has been captured on page 16 will also task them to ponder on the same. President Uhuru Kenyatta on Malta's climate change, he says that Africa's security is under threat. This, of course, as he rallied the continent to work with global community to mitigate effects climate change. And this, he underscored yesterday the negative impacts of the climate change on Africa's peace and the aspect of security, and rallied the continent to develop a common position ahead of year's United Nations Climate Change Conference. And we'll be looking forward to that, and knowing very well that we captured this particular seat as representatives. And so we'll get into details of what has been captured. Also, senior roles in crisis meeting after Meghan Harry interview. What played out yesterday, and we'll be looking at all this and much more. Also, let's keep you up to speed as to what you expect, in the course of the day. That is on the Daily Diary. There you go. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i will today preside over the official opening of the State of Crime in Kenya conference at the Kenyan School of Government. And thereafter, he will visit the retired Chief Kaaka to honor his years of selfless service in Kwerika, Kajiado Central. Yes, the Council of Governors shall also hold a full council meeting today. The meeting will discuss the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine that is in the country, disbursement of the equitable share to counties, and other pertinent issues affecting county government. The Chairman, Council of Governors, Honorable Martin Wambora, will address the media on resolutions from the meeting. That is around 1 p.m. And so we'll be following up on that. We'll have our teams or our team, taking up on these particular stories so that they can keep us posted, and we'll definitely also be here to ensure that indeed you get all these reports. Yes, a brief look at what is happening on the roads. I am here with my map ready and set to keep you posted. If you're stepping out of the house right now, this is what it is that you expect coming from this side of Thika Road, Githurai. As always, you'll find some tenets of traffic. Well, this courtesy of the numerous vehicles that are frequenting headed to town, carrying passengers who probably are going to the offices or their workstations. And here we are proceeding over. You find some tenets of traffic somewhere around Muthaiga there, but then again, it eases up, and here we are. Well, it's actually a bit too heavy And here we are at the Mathare Mental Hospital. It is quite heavy. Pangani Place Apartments, it is quite heavy as you get to connect from Muthaiga, that is Kiambu Road, and you realize that there's some tenets of traffic, Muthaiga Road, all this. But then again, it eases up as you get into the city. As you can see, this is Pangani around Nairobi Gymkhana, getting to Gara. Around Gara there's not much of traffic, and so if you're getting into the city, you need not to worry. In most cases, you'll find so much traffic around there because different roads come to get to connect so that the vehicles get or to proceed into town. Parklands, where I am, not much of traffic this morning. Also, this is Parklands Road, evidently looking good. Westlands, all these key roads around Westlands are no cause for alarm. Connecting us to Waiyaki Way, here you are, not much of traffic also as you come to connect to around ABC. Waiyaki Way goes all the way down. It is good this morning. ABC Place, as you get to these sides of James Gishuru and also Westlands Red Hill Link, well, you can see there's no traffic on this other beat, and going down to this other side of ABC Place also is equally not bad. James Gishuru going down is this morning as you connect to Gitanga Road, and Gitanga Road is also not looking as bad this morning. But then as you proceed to these sides of Kawangware, there's some level of traffic somewhere there, I guess because of the buses that will always be there to carry passengers. You find some bit of traffic, but it is not looking so bad. This is Kingara Road. It is also looking so good. Naivasha is not as bad, apart from just a small point where you realize there's some bit of traffic, but then again it eases up. And this one's Kinyanjui Road all the way to these sides of Kabiria Road and Riruta. It is not looking so bad. Around Dagoretti there, as you connect to Ngong Road, you can tell that Ngong Road is not looking so bad this morning. Oh, this is to and from town around Impala Club there. Ngong Road, there's not much of traffic apart from this bit tenets. But then again, I mean, you can tell it's just because of the junction, and equally on this other side, a bit of traffic there because of the junction. But proceeding over all the way, this is Ngong Road, and to this bit of NHIF around there, getting yourself into the city. Evidently, Ngong Road does not look so bad this morning. To this other side, Bunyala Road, as you can see, is not looking so bad, as you can tell. And then again, Asa Beats, this is Langata Road. Also, Langata Road is pretty much of an ease this morning to and from town. The other side, you can tell that Mbagathi is also not looking so bad. Down to the airport, that is the Wilson Airport, down, proceeding. It is not looking so bad up to these levels of Ikan Evol, also not bad. The Southern Bypass, well, looking pretty much of an ease this morning. It's actually Wednesday. Most of the times, the Mondays will start with so much traffic, but then easing up throughout the week. There you go. As they say, Mondays, most of the people are coming back from, probably their rural homes, and so there's not much of traffic there. This is Mombasa Road. Let's see what Mombasa Road looks like. Actually, Mombasa Road is not as ugly as it's always been, or as what we'd expect. Here we are, where there's traffic, Imara Daima. Starts from this bit. Wow, this is quite heavy though. Mombasa Road is not looking so cool from this bit low. As you can see, the red ones. Let me take you a bit slow. This is around Samia Park. And getting to these sides of Cabanas, the traffic is on. It makes you look a little bit bad on this other side also. As you can see, that is along Airport Road, Embakasi Road. I mean, that is Airport Road. As you get to connect to Mombasa Road, you find that there's a bit of traffic also. Imara Daima, there's so much traffic. Here you go. And going down, yes, it eases up from Imara Daima, still with Mombasa Road going down. A bit of an ease there until you come to this bit of Capital Center, also not bad this morning. And so Mombasa Road is also not as bad, apart from that other upper bit. So once you cross there, you can be rest assured that the rest of the road is clear this morning. What other road? Bunyala Road is pretty much of an easy. Lusaka is here, pretty much of an ease. Jogo Road is here. Well, there's some tenets of traffic that is right before Makadara and also past Makadara briefly, but then again, I mean, just a small bit, but then again, it eases up. And so Jogo Road also, when you once you cross Makadara, you can be rest assured getting yourself into the city will be an ease. Around Majengo, Gikomba also, the roads are not looking so bad this morning. And so if there's anything that would require your attention, we'll be here to keep you posted. Let's briefly take a look at the stories that have been prepared by my team. The Joint Parliamentary Committee that is on Justice and Legal Affairs is expected to commence its sitting today ahead of a public participation exercise on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020. According to the committee, the process will take the least time since there will be no amendment to the bill, as Elizabeth Mutuku tells us.
Parliament is expected to start the process of debating the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020. The Joint Parliamentary Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs is expected to commence its sitting on Wednesday on a bill which won't be amended by Parliament.
Will commence on Thursday of this week, but as to whether we will do a more detailed public hearing than what is envisaged on Thursday will be decided by the joint sittings of the two committees of National Assembly and the Senate.
Because the bill has to remain intact from the county government when it went to the county governments, and then the majority of the county assemblies approved it, it has to remain as it is.
According to the committee, only public participation will be conducted on the bill come Thursday this week, since the law doesn't allow the bill of such nature to be amended by Parliament.
I'm hoping that we'll be able to agree, because the directives from the speakers is that the two committees retreat and then we file a joint report. But our standing orders doesn't give room for us not to have a position, because the majority are the ones who will carry the day. So even when we retreat, we develop a position, the majority side will carry the day. If the majority of the members of the joint committees approve the amendment, then that's the report that will be tabled before the House.
These are special circumstances. The bill also is a special bill. I don't think we have had one like this before, because this one is by popular, not parliamentary, popular initiative. And under Article 257, there are certain parameters that go with the attendant to the bill, right? So it uses the phrase without delay. And you know, without delay means, unless there is any impediment, the bill should swim and go through seamless without any delay at all.
However, the opponents of BBI termed the document as non-beneficial to the country, considering the country's economy is on its knees.
It's a citizens' initiative to resist the overthrow of the Constitution, to resist the taking away of our voice as a people and our power.
Kenya is in receivership. So any promises anybody is making to you that they are going to deliver 35%, that they are going to do this, those programs have to be approved by the IMF in Washington, then they will not be approved.
The BBI draft bill was presented to both houses by over 30 county assemblies. Last week, the bill was officially introduced in the two houses and officially published on Kenya Gazette.
Considering there won't be any amendment to the BBI Draft Bill 2020, the Joint Committee on JLAC has promised to fast-track the process ahead of its debate and voting by both houses. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV 47 Palm Buildings, Nairobi.
To an interesting one, Uasin Gishu County Assembly has abstained on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, BBI, that is, becoming the only assembly to abstain. A 12-member delegated legislation committee chaired by Patrick Bundotich tabled a report asking the assembly to abstain the bill.
I want to put the question that this county assembly do adopt the until tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Msimamo ambao tumeutoa leo hatukuambiwa na mtu yote. Nafikiri hata walikuwa wanangojea sisi watashangaa leo msimamo ambao tumeutoa. Tumeutoa msimamo kwa sababu katika hii Kenya kuna watu wanataka kupata mileage kwa vitu ambayo haifai. Kuna watu leo walikuwa wanaongoja tu tuseme no, waende kwa media waseme timu fulani imeenda ikasema no kwa sababu ya sababu. Kuna watu walikuwa wanaongoja pia tuseme yes ndio waende kwa media waseme wamesema afadhali wabaki tu hapo, tubaki na wao ndio tukutana na wananchi kwa ground. So decision yenye tumemake leo tulikuwa tunataka kuunganisha Uasin Gishu.
Watu waligawanyika nusu. Kuna wale walisema la, kuna wale walisema nusu. Wakaona kama viongozi kuliko kupiganisha wananchi wangu, ni heri kutopiga kura yoyote. Kwa nini? Imechangiwa na mambo mawili. Kwanza kabisa, county assembly zaidi ya 43 washapitisha, kumaanisha kwamba bunge kuu ya taifa na senate wanaendelea bila sisi ama na sisi ndani. Pili, wakaona kwamba watakuwa wanaunganisha ward zao, kumaanisha wananchi walikuwa wanatarajia tukatae ama tukubali, lakini nataka ieleweke kwamba hakuna kura ya kukataa ama kukubali BBI.
Country marks 3 years since President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM boss Raila Odinga shook hands in the historic handshake. Well, 3 years later, the handshake has had its fair share of ups and downs. Now, the recent concerns raised by a section of ODM leaders, however, threatening the handshake that cooled a political temperature that was occasioned by the 2017 elections.
The country marks 3 years today since the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM boss Raila Odinga. A handshake that took place at the Fort of Harambee House brought together the government and the opposition, cooling the then heated political temperature. However, the handshake has been shaky in the recent days, with section of ODM leaders threatening to walk out of the handshake. The handshake has culminated to the constitutional amendment process, famously known as BBI, which is currently before the National Assembly and the Senate, with the proponents of the BBI already praising the gains so far.
And we have achieved a lot. We have the BBI now, and I can tell you that the bulk of the work has been done, because here in Parliament what we are supposed to be doing is really, other than for purposes being a bit respectful, is really clerical work.
Before the handshake, there was looting going on in Treasury. That looting reduced. I think if all of you remember, Raila joined the Uhuru, not for anything, but for patriotism for the people of Kenya.
So once the new constitution has already been able to pass, which it will pass, God willing, with everything in place, I'm looking at the merits. If you look at the merits of every single thing that is on the BBI document, from resources going down to the grassroots.
Last week, ODM leaders raised an alarm, with Siaya Senator James Orengo saying they are senior government officials undermining their boss Raila Odinga.
And we know what these characters are trying to do to determine who becomes president in the year 2022. Those characters are undermining the authority and the goodwill and the vision of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga.
Ukiona shule anaruka kutoka kwa maji, akwambie iko joto, ujue iko joto. You cannot doubt what Orengo and Junet are saying about the handshake.
The country is already gearing up for a referendum in June this year. Raila allies claims that the government officials are using a strategy to destabilize his most loyal support bases across the country, including Western and Coast, with the aim of projecting him as a weak candidate ahead of 2022 polls.
Kama hawatosheki na hiyo handisheki, sababu hata Wakenya hawatosheki nayo, wengine kama Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga ambaye alikuwa mmoja wa wale tulipigania katiba mpya, tunamwalika arudi nyumbani.
Baada ya kumaliza mambo ya BBI mwezi wa June, itakuwa sasa baada ya referendum, what is there for the handshake. And certainly tunapoingia hata mambo ya uchaguzi wa 2022, lazima pia ufikirie handshake ni nini. So sioni ukisema ya kwamba utatoa handshake kwa meza kwa haraka vile ungetaka.
Joash Onsare, TV 47, Nairobi.
And to this story that has huge political volumes now, members of parliament congratulated the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi following his coronation over the weekend by the Ensuring Cheke Council of Elders at the Mount Kenya, or as the Mount Kenya East spokesperson. Now, a section of members of parliament allied to Deputy President William Ruto now calling on Muturi to fight for the Hustler Nation, while others urging him to be a symbol of unity and peace. The symbolic ceremony was attended by hundreds of elders from the Mount Kenya region and leaders allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta.
A spokesman of the people, a spokesman of the Hustler Nation people, speak on behalf of the people, Honorable Speaker. Speak on behalf of those who have no voice. Speak on behalf of those who have no opportunity, Mr. Speaker. Hold on. Mr. Speaker, you speak on behalf of those who have no voice to attend the Council of Elders meetings. Speak on behalf of those who are not able to attend this house. There are only two other positions remaining, Mr. Speaker, in terms of even the pecking orders. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, now that you are the spokesperson of the entire region, and Mr. Speaker, now you are the Speaker of the National Assembly, you can only go higher to either the Deputy President or the President himself. And having studied your history, Mr. Speaker, I can tell that you've come from very far. You've come from very far and risen to the position that you occupy.
Because you look at such events could have given us better leaders than the democracy we suffocate this country to. And indeed, it is actually the democracy that has fires up tribalism. If events like this could be used to produce leaders to sit at the helm of this country, I think it will be a very peaceful country, because you compare the events of the Ensuring Cheke, Mr. Speaker, you will not see chaos, you will not see violence, there is no even police present, no 2 million was stolen, no IBC clerk was chased away. The event was so peaceful.
With the Mount Kenya East, you made it very easy that us people from the lower side of the soil will now be able to access the knowledge of the people from the mountain through a common direction, Honorable Speaker, that you can guide us and tell us that this is what is supposed to happen in terms of the mountain and their culture.
Well, as the politicians watch closely, we say congratulations to him. It's now time that we take a quick break. We'll be having guests joining us. They're already on standby. Embakasi North Member of Parliament James Gakuya and Tongaren Member of Parliament Dr. Iseli Simiyu will be the guests this morning as we ponder some more on the key stories. Remember, the politics of the day we do not fail to touch on, even as we look at 3 years into the handshake and the BBI conversation. We also do not forget that aspect on matters treasury and how the parliament has decided to curb proceeding to get loans from within, or local loans for that matter. What would it mean moving forward? So that and more after this break.
Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to Your Untold Stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15th, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at TV47. TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47K. I say you always get this every other time, and so don't be surprised. You get to know what plays out in studio. And so yes, karibu sana. I am happy to do this with you. And once again, we're getting to that aspect where we now discuss matters politics. We look at what has been captured on the papers. Let me try and fix this so that we do not lose the whole point. And here we go. Yes, we'll be looking. Well, all right, as we try and fix that one. But then again, we still have so much that is in store for you all the way to 9 a.m. Remember, we'll also be looking at Matters Nutrition. And Matters Nutrition, we ask you just how best can you portion your foods. And so getting the right plate after for every other meal. And so as we look at that, the guest of the day this morning, as earlier mentioned, Embakasi North, James Gakuya, Tongaren Member of Parliament, Dr. Eseli Simiyu. Gentlemen, karibuni sana. It is always good to have you every other morning. And so before we get into the papers, let me allow them to say jambo. Honorable Gakuya.
Yeah, good morning, Rida. Allow me to salute the viewers wherever they are watching us within the Republic of Kenya, and also those who are viewing us from other aids. Welcome to the show.
Karibu sana, Honorable Dr. Eseli Simiyu.
Good morning, viewers. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. It's been a while. I think I was last here a week ago.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, and here we go. A week ago, what happened on Monday? Well, I'm used to having you on Mondays.
Yeah.
Siasa ya Kabuchai.
No,
right?
I was on parliamentary business
yes.
Out of town, both with the Public Accounts Committee and later on with the Health Committee.
All right, Karibu sana. What would you make of the intolerance that was witnessed, but at least not as bad in Kabuchai?
No, it was equally bad.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is really unfortunate, so to speak.
Because usually for one to have the confidence of being elected by the people, it should be a clean, clear election.
Right.
Usually when you get these kinds of violence activities, it sort of violates the whole purpose of elections. So it's worrisome that we are heading into a general election, and if such things are allowed to happen, then it's a serious indictment on the IEBC.
Right.
Because generally, if IEBC were to see that sort of thing happening, they have options, even in their act, either to stop the election,
nullify the whole process,
or do whatever.
Okay.
So I think it's a serious indictment on the IEBC.
Okay.
That they would allow such things to happen, then fumble around and pretend like they've got no powers.
Right.
And I think that does not give much confidence. It does not create much confidence by Kenyans in the electoral body.
Yeah.
And I think the people running the electoral body should know that. While the violence is, we abhor the violence, but if IEBC does not rise to the occasion and take the action that they are supposed to, which is within their mandate, then it's them that stand to shame. And I think in this case, while we might blame all the players in the elections, I think the blame actually lies at the footsteps of IEBC.
Okay.
And Wafula Chebukati had better wake up, because if that's what he's planning for 2022, then he might as well just get out of there.
Okay. Honorable James Gakuya, I would want to believe that you still have, your own political interests, aspirations for that matter, would you be confident to go, out there and vie for an election with the IEBC as currently constituted, based on what it is that we've seen? Would you be confident for us to even go for this conversation of a referendum that is likely, of course, or is going to be conducted by the same body?
Linda, my sentiment over these is that, one, I will not accuse the Electoral Commission about the first. First, I must accuse those who are entrusted to secure the process, because Electoral Commission has no security agencies to secure the elections. It is the duty of the police force to make sure that, in fact, if the process is very secure.
But when they were doing that, members of parliament that had been alleged to causing mayhem were also crying foul, saying that the police force is a bit radical on them.
Linda, if you watch it very, very keenly, you realize that, in fact, one candidate from Kiamukoma, who was a UDA candidate, actually was brought on the way to that very early morning, heading to
cast his vote.
And in fact, that fellow was flagged from his own car and put into the boot of a Land Rover. And from that moment, he was arrested. And that fellow did not even find himself to a position of electing himself or voting himself. That tells that the rights of that candidate was totally infringed. And nobody give any good reason why this happened. And that tells you that actually it was a stage managed kind of a situation.
Speaking in two sides of the mouth, I mean, you speak of the security forces to
that
be
is
there,
police. That is
but
police.
on the other side,
that is police who did that.
Okay.
And that fellow was arrested by police, and who provoked all this violence was police.
Do you suppose the police would just, wake up and decide to target this individual without a credible reason?
What I can tell you, this was already a predetermined kind of event. Okay. It is not something which was not prepared. And that tells that actually the systems are using police to cause this chaos. And let me tell you, I'm a witness. When we are campaigning for random candidate, actually we find that actually other candidates had nothing to do with the issues to do with the police forces. But our candidate meetings were destroyed, and police used tear gas to separate people, where the candidate has complied everything, even having what we call reported and everything that was supposed to be done. That tells you that actually police use skewed kind of operation, and therefore there was a targeted move to make sure that a certain direction is going to be used, or a certain process is going to be used. And therefore, I cannot blame anybody else. I can only blame the police forces because of allowing to be used by system to destroy and to make sure that the process was okay.
Dr. Eseli Simiyu, what is this that is about UDA? Yes.
You need to read the Election Act and the IEBC Act. Yes. Actually, IEBC has power to stop an election if such things that he's saying happen.
Right.
Even if the police are, in fact, if the police are involved, then that's the more reason why ABC should say this election is not being conducted fairly.
If we are to look at the interest of the people, the
timelines,
the fact that, we're just 1 year into an election, these people are not represented, they need a representation as early as possible. There's a lot of other activities that lie ahead for the IEBC. Do you suppose they would take a risk of
They should, if that's their mandate.
Okay.
They should.
All right.
They should not say,
what would be the repercussions of the same?
The repercussions will be, it will stop the violence.
And we will face it?
Yes.
And you think it would be better
if we know very well that if such events happen, IEBC will refuse to conduct that election and call out whoever is causing the problem. People will not get involved with that. So IEBC has failed.
Okay.
But we are refusing to say that, and we are saying that, okay, the police, yes, the police could have been involved, as he says,
right,
and they did all those things he says, but if those things were happening until the candidate could not even vote for himself, surely, then in a situation like that, IEBC should have called off that election.
Okay.
So I still feel, despite what the blame you would like to apportion to the police, I still feel that IEBC should rise up to the occasion, follow the Elections Act and their own act to actually take action.
Barely 4 months or so.
So if that's the case, if he says the police were complicit, then IEBC was also complicit in that fiasco.
Okay.
And Linda, let me say that in fact I concur with my panelists that at least the powers given to that particular commission are powers that are capable to make things happen. And let me tell you, according to the outcome of those particular elections, due to what occurred, I am sure that in fact during 2002 election, I remember our election in Kamukunji whole constituency was suspended, and actually it was cancelled by the commission then. And this tells you that in fact those powers are the same powers that the commission has today, that they have powers to cancel or suspend such an election in case of such kind of violence or in case of such kind of occasions which transpired. And therefore, what I would say is that let the commission also do its job and make sure that in fact whenever there is such kind of issues or such kind of event that are negative to the expected free and fair election, actually action has been taken with immediate effect.
All right, what is this about UDA that is causing so much jitters? Barely 4 months of its formation.
I don't know.
As a party, as Ford Kenya Party, don't you feel threatened? In Kabuchai, wouldn't you have felt?
I would not have felt threatened.
Okay.
Because in any case, some of the players in Fort Kenya are the ones who are hobnobbing with the UDA people.
Yes.
In fact, they kept on dealing with the UDA people. So in other words, I'm saying they're the ones who invited UDA to Bungoma.
Okay.
So when UDA decided to go for the seat, why were they panicking? They're the ones who invited them.
Okay.
So to me, even that being as it is, it does not justify violence.
Right.
It does not justify the violence at all. And if indeed there were people who were bribing or anything, yes, that is wrong, but IEBC should rise up to the occasion in the sense that if it's such that it's reducing the voter turnout to a trickle, and then you find that what's being shown is a higher voter turnout, then there's something really wrong. And I'm alerting Kenyans to this.
Okay.
They might say that I'm biased or whatever, but I'm alerting Kenyans to be awake. Something is wrong at IEBC.
Okay.
Because if you remember, I don't know where that was, but there's a lady electoral officer who is being frog-marched.
Right.
And it ends like that. How does IEBC allow that? And then they start saying, oh, we'll do something about this, what. No, they should have done something about it immediately. Because one, that lady was being frog-marched. Apart from her being an electoral officer, it is wrong for so many men to be molesting a woman. It's wrong. I think that reflects so badly on us. In fact, I would say in a few words, I'm embarrassed by those elections.
Well, that's pretty much unfortunate.
The conduct of those elections is embarrassing. It's a dark spot on the Kenyan electoral body. And going to the election next year, I think they've got a few more by-elections to redeem themselves, the IEBC. And they'd better rise up to the occasion and redeem themselves. Otherwise, what will happen, as Kenyans have lost confidence in IEBC, Kenyans are now going to lose confidence in elected leaders.
Yes.
Because of the mode of their elections.
Are you not excited about your candidates who took the Kabuchai?
No, of course, it's good for Ford Kenya to take the seat.
All right.
Because we had lost one, so we reclaimed the seat.
How does it speak about, like this one, in as much as maybe has been looked at as a litmus on matters 2022 and all that? Key is the aspect of Mulembe unity.
Of course, the political players who are in certain problems would like to use that to build up their stature.
Yes.
But still, it remains that in Bungoma, of the 9 constituencies, Ford Kenya only has 3. That says a lot about the party.
Okay.
About the party's stature in Bungoma.
Right.
So it's not something. Yes, we're happy. I've even congratulated the candidate.
Yes.
It's good for Fort Kenya to retain that seat, but that does not mean we lose track of the fact that the fortunes of the party are dwindling. And remember, Kabuchai is where the senator votes.
Yes.
That's where his parents are. That's his home.
Yes.
So if he had lost that, it would have been terrible. But so people try to hype it up and say things. But I think the mode of the winning also is important.
Okay.
If you win clean, your stature goes higher.
Right.
But when you win with all this fracas, all this violence, all this whatever, that to me removes quite a bit of marks that you would have
Well, the
used.
Kabuchai one was interesting to see because then wanasema ni ile ya nilishinda saa 12 asubuhi nilichukua. What is this about UDA that gets you know, a majority of you feel like, you know, UDA has been targeted, the supporters of Tanga Tanga have been targeted, that the police orchestrated this early enough to just go and counter them even before the processes began?
Rinda, just tell you that in fact matters to do with party democracy is paramount because this is well expressed in their constitution, and surely finding a situation where there is skewed kind of security, and also where police used forces, tear gases, and all manner of forces to make sure that actually a certain candidate is not going to have peace in his meetings or his campaign. It tells you this is a deliberate move to make sure that that particular party does not win that particular seat. And therefore, it tells you that there is a problem, and this problem is a political problem, and it tells you that actually there are forces behind. And whom do you have to be the forces behind this? The forces behind this is that I can tell you, UDA is like a baby who is separated from Jubilee. And I am telling you, the target must be, yes, we cannot allow this baby to grow. We cannot allow this baby to grow. And then we let us kill this baby before even it starts up.
Political Parties Act, Jubilee, most of the people in UDA are the very same people that are in Jubilee. I mean, what does it speak? What needs to be done in such a scenario, and what is dictated within the Political Parties Act? I mean, you are here, you are a Jubilee member of Parliament, but you're out there, there's a Jubilee candidate, but you're busy advocating for a different candidate from a different party.
Democracy allows this.
Okay.
Because the party itself has failed, and if the party fails from its manifesto, then the whole the rest of the traders behind
will go down.
Also get into dish. Because allow me to read my point. One is that in fact we have seen the leadership of Jubilee from the top supporting other parties' candidatures. Like in Kabuchai, they were supporting the Ford Kenya. And like in Matungu, they were supporting, I can't tell you exactly who was supporting, but actually the Jubilee had no candidate in those particular one. If you remember very well that in Musabweni, they were supporting the ODM.
You know, it's party.
In this particular case, the leadership from the top was not a decision made from a collective base.
Okay.
It was a
decision made by few.
A decision made by few. And this tells me that if the party has two organs or has two levels of decision making, where a certain team is locked out from decision making, and we are forced to go by a decision made by few, it tells you that those others who are locked from that decision making, if they think otherwise, what's wrong with them? I don't see any problem when the deputy president is supporting a different candidate when the president general or the president is supporting a different candidate, because it is not a collective agenda.
Okay.
It's not a collective decision. The party can say that actually people are against or they are rebels of the party when a party have made a decision collectively, and after that decision other people rebels out of that. But you cannot make a decision on a kitchen and you want to force everybody else to follow your direction.
Why would you cry foul if I know you whatever it is that you do is mated with so much of a radical approach, yet it is being looked at as rebellion against the party?
And I can tell you for sure, it is not it's not anything that it's like those times come when a pregnant mother cannot be able to hide their pregnancy.
Okay.
At this particular point, there before it was just a smoke, but at the point we are, it's now on fire, and nobody can tell us that we are in a united Jubilee. It's no longer. Jubilee has
I'm sure Honorable Eseli Simiyu has reservations in regards. Allow me to take a quick break. It's a commercial break, and then we come back to you.
You a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Story. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Story. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets and processing.
I want to say we're still on the papers, though we've not even opened it. We got into the intolerance that was witnessed during the by-elections. Why we're talking about this is because we're headed for an electioneering period. That is 2022. We're talking matters referendum. We have not even finished with the by-elections just yet. So it is important that we discuss this. And with me, Embakasi North Member of Parliament, James Gakuya, Tongaren Member of Parliament, Dr. Eseli Simiyu, still expounding some more on that. My question to Honorable Gakuya was, why is it then that there's so much jitters that is being caused by the UDA? I mean, barely 4 months, into, of course, the picture, but then again, it looks like they feel like they're being targeted so much. So, and also there's that feel like they are threatening so much of, candidates down on the ground. So, Honorable Eseli Simiyu, you've heard the cries, or so to speak, of Honorable Embakasi North Member of Parliament James Gakuya in regards to the target. Well, he always insists that he's a Jubilee, though he says that he equally subscribes to the ideologies of what UDA would be presenting on the table. I don't want to call this sibling rivalry. And I'm sure you might not be in a better position to point a finger because it's not all rosy in Ford Kenya also.
No, with Ford Kenya, there's no big problem because we had finished the issue of getting Wetangula out as the party leader, and he went to court, so it's the court that's holding him there, and we are pursuing the court matters. So, but if you notice that in the by-elections, we did not interfere. From our faction, we did not interfere with whatever was going on because we knew if Ford Kenya wins, it's still a Ford Kenya win.
Okay.
And we wanted to field a candidate in Matungu, but then we looked at the bigger picture and we didn't. That does not mean that we didn't want to. But I would say that I would tell Gakuya that, Honorable Gakuya, that welcome to opposition politics. Once UDA is in the opposition, sometimes it gives me a sense of deja vu. When Ford first started, before it became Ford Kenya and DP and so on. That's exactly what we used to get from the state.
Okay.
Very
radical,
very rough treatment from the state. So in case Gakuya had forgotten, because I know some of them were in the trenches with everybody else. Now that's what I'm trying to tell you, that as we claw back on the democratic space, this is what you get. Okay. Because generally speaking, what was happening here was trying to zone people that Western, Musalia, Nyanza, Raila, and things like that. Okay. And it had to be done by hook or by crook. Okay. And that's the result we get. Now, that is a very big warning to the country that what might happen in the next general election. So that's why I keep on saying that the electoral body needs to redeem itself. Okay. If we are going to go into an election like that, with the electoral body as it is constituted, then we have a problem. Because so far, I've not seen them really raise serious issues about those by-elections. In fact, the only thing I've seen is people going to NCIC, people being thrown into cells here and there, but you don't see anything, substantive about it. Most of them
are out on bail and
yes.
And all
so I think this thing, interestingly, human beings are wired in a particular way, and they will always follow that route. In this situation, the people from Western are celebrating that we have zoned our zone, okay, which is total madness, because Matungu was already ANC, Kabuchai was already Ford Kenya, so they were defending. But you see, the bigger picture is zoning. That's what's happening. And one thing I would say is we are being politically dishonest with each other. And that is terrible for a democracy, a young democracy for that matter. Right. Because if we are trying to grow this democracy, we are in a bit of trouble, because the luminaries of the fight for a wider democratic space and so on are now very few who are still active. You find that those who are actually opposed to that are the ones now who are on the forefront. And definitely, they can easily mess up and claw back the democratic space we had gained. And that is a warning from this last by-elections. Right. And those Kenyans who really would like our democracy to grow should avoid clapping for these kinds of things. Because it also reflects, you see, what happens in our country. A thief is celebrated because anatugawia, justifying the wrong. And that's a Kenyan habit, which we need to get out of if we are to grow this democracy. Okay. So I think for Gakuya and UDA, welcome to opposition politics. I don't subscribe to that kind of treatment, but welcome to that. And
the opposition within, you get
you need to really
brace yourselves for more.
Yeah, brace yourselves for more. For those of us who feel that generally the democratic space is narrowing, we think perhaps we need to sit and take a different path from where we are now. Because if we continue on the path we are on, I'm afraid that we will not have a very good outcome in 2022.
Wow, all right, Honorable Gakuya, we dropped that one, and yes, we continue to condemn.
Though it has to avoid that.
Yes.
It will be very unfortunate, surely, the point we are as a nation, that at least those who are frontline brigaders for democracy are already compromised. And when I find like my good friend Honorable Raila Odinga already on the other end, then it tells you now the spearheader for these all institutions it's like we are all compromised.
When you say on the other end, what do you mean? He's
you know, there before we have known Raila as a big fighter for transformation, and at least at this particular time, when Raila is already in the pact of the system, tells you that we have no strong bargainer outside.
But he was a loser in Matunga. He faced it.
He faced it, yes. He was surprised.
He's a victim, actually.
Yes, he did. And you know, if there is a seat that ODM was certain to clinch, must have been that one of Matungo.
No, of course, yes. Anyway, let me say that at least we have run a case study out of those by-elections. And it is true that, Linda, if something is not going to be done, nobody is sure of what the outcome that we are going to get, the results we are about to get in 2022. And it tells you that, in fact, even ODM itself actually has to get back to drawing board. It goes actually, they are not even sure what will be tomorrow.
In fact, they're not sure. And that brings us to this point, Raila's option in the event that, well, the handshake does not work well. Here we are. You probably envisioned that we would get to this point where, you know, at some point, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, his allies would be crying foul about the handshake. I remember we've constantly asked questions as to who is fooling for who in this particular scenario. Well, the gentleman would argue that everything is okay. It's just that, you know, people have some, you know, their own reserved fears. But equally, remember, there are others that remind us that, you know what, when you see these soldiers complaining, there has to be something that is amiss. Well, we are also being told that Right Honorable Raila Odinga has been taken to, you know, about 2 weeks isolation and rest of that matter. We still are going to be giving you more details in regards to this, taken ill and advised to go in isolation. But equally, the conversation is on as we are talking matters, shaky handshake.
I think what's happening here is that Kenyan politics is full of vultures and other birds of carrion who will always be, you know, hovering around, circling around to see which place there's a dead animal that they can go and feast on.
Okay.
And as the saying goes, between a lion and a hyena, when they go to hunt, the lion is more likely to come back home hungry because it wants a fresh kill.
Yes.
While the hyena will come back full because it will eat whatever is dead, whatever is whatever. So the hyena never sleeps hungry. And if you extrapolate that to the Kenyan politics, that's what we are facing now. So that birds of carrion and you know, vultures and hyenas like that. Because if you recall, after the handshake, there was criticism, not just from the Jubilee side, even from the NASA side.
Yes.
The core principals were totally unhappy. They didn't support the handshake. They did not, even as the BBI came on, quite some stinging criticism came from the NASA side. It's interesting that the same fellows now want to own it to the exclusion of Raila. That's the kind of predatory nature of our politics. Now, you can imagine, I know in politics there's a lot of opportunism, but you can imagine that kind of predatory class leading this country.
Yeah.
Do you expect anything good out of them?
Definitely not.
No.
Okay. Are you excited that we're having this conversation in regards to the shaky handshake? I mean, you have constantly said...
I think of all those people, the one who was constantly for the handshake and the BBI was Gideon Moi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But then again, on this other side, they were not for that.
Yeah.
And so it looks like they must be excited that, you know, it is getting into shambles, because they say it is a handshake that has messed the activities of Jubilee Party.
One leader, let me tell you. Sometimes the hunters get hunted. And I can tell you, the path in which Ruto has found himself, I can tell you, very soon, and not because until 2022 is just less than 1.5 years. And I can tell you, the suspect today, and you know, even though a marriage gets what we call dots when the suspect comes in. And in this particular time, you find that actually there is a serious suspect. This take into consideration that, in fact, one, there was a meeting at the State House when the beginnings were called, and there were about 7 of them. And let me tell you, who led the statement? The statement was led by Gideon Moy. And Laida was so lukewarm at one end. And my big question was, yes, is Laida really comfortable with this? Because surely, in the beginning, the handshake was 2 principles. But you have reached a point where it's like, yes, it's now a correct.
I mean, are we getting it all wrong? Just what was the purpose of the handshake? I do not remember the principles, or the key leaders speaking of the handshake being a route to endorsing Raila Odinga to presidency. In fact, they have distanced themselves from that. So why would Raila be uncomfortable?
I can tell you for sure, a leader, because at least I think you're also mature enough in what we call political analytics. And going to the shortcomings that at least we have been seeing, you find a situation where there is a team already set and calling themselves an alliance. This alliance is of about 4 number of them. And at least Laida is not being positioned anywhere around there. This tells you that most likely the suspect is Raila. This is a baby which at least was nurtured by Raila up to this point. But it is the signs are very clear, and indicators are Raila after the BBI he may be dumped. And let me tell you, that's the suspect I'm talking about. That he may do all this effort, but at the end of the day, after clinching what he was fighting for, then he become not part of the gainer, and the whole the forest gets shared by others, and that's what I'm calling suspect. And at this point is where they are feeling that yes, the people like Orengo and others have now started throwing some missiles, because at least they need to know what is the clear position. They are not part of the handshake and whatever was agreed at that particular point. And I cannot stand here authoritatively to say that there was any agreement that actually the president will support Laila come 2022, and that this is not the case. But I can tell you, you cannot prepare a cake, and at the end of the day, you don't eat it, and the cake gets away with others. And this is the point I want, that Laila is feeling, yes, I have done all this, but now we are the climax, and we are just about to conclude this particular event of BBI, but probably after we achieve this, I may not be part of the share.
As said, what options does Raila have? And looking at the aspect of, as you also say what it is that you wish to say, my question then would be, the talk has been that the handshake is what has bound us together, held us together after the ugly scenes in 2017. What happens if today we do not have the handshake?
I think the handshake has served its purpose in the sense that some peace or semblance of peace, which was then rudely interrupted by COVID, but at least it had helped to stabilize the economy to an extent.
Yes.
And it helped in many ways. I think what happens here is perhaps Raila might be uncomfortable because he finds that it's an open secret, if there's such a term, that Musalia and Weta came to the table when the by-elections came around, and they got fearful. It's when they were perhaps railroaded to the table. Otherwise, they were not for it at all. And in fact, even their utterances of recent towards Raila have been very unkind, actually, extremely unkind. Because if I were running for president and I came from the western part of Kenya, I would be looking for the Nyanza vote And looking for the Nyanza vote will not be easy when you criticize, when you don't have Raila.
Okay.
So I think that's a very unfortunate situation, but no, it just reflects where they were coming from, because it was clear that initially most of the elected leaders in parliament from Ford Kenya, apart from maybe three or four of us, all the rest had gone to William. It's a fact.
It's a fact.
And that's why I'm calling it an open secret. Even the MCAs on the ground in Bungoma and so on had all been taken to the
and actually, Honorable Gakuya wanted to say this, it's just that he did not finish. By the time it's 2022.
So what happened now, come the by-election, is when people realized, oops, we brought this guy, now he might take this seat from us. And then they went to the table with the president so that they can be able to be assisted, and that's a fact. Now, Raila will feel uncomfortable because he knows that as far as the BBI goes, many of those MCAs are still on the ground opposing BBI.
Okay.
So even if their leader comes on the table pretending to support the BBI,
but they gave it a clean bill of health.
It's a white lie.
Even in Bungoma, I mean.
No, the assembly did.
Yes.
And you see, the thing is, that's
the assembly is the MCAs.
Yes, but see, that's what I'm saying. That is the camouflaging that I'm saying, the double speak. People who speak from both corners of the mouth.
Yes.
You know, these are the same MCAs on the ground, and then now they have been sort of whipped. Go and pass it. Otherwise, I'm having a problem. I have a by-election in Kabuchai. I need to, and things like that.
Speaking of that, what's the issue?
It's a way of how do you call it? Pretending that you are cleverer than everybody else, and yet you can. So I guess Raila feels uncomfortable when he's there, and he has to sit with these people and pretend that everything is kosher. Yet he knows very well that these fellows people on the ground are opposing the BBI, but they are here trying to front themselves as the leaders of the campaign. I think that makes Raila very uncomfortable. But otherwise, it should be clear that some political decency to an extent would help.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I used the tough words of vultures and birds of carrion. But some of us politicians, unless we stop behaving like that, unless we start behaving like birds of carrion that circle around looking for any animal in distress to devour, I think we need to change our ways, because this kind of dishonesty in politics is what has destroyed our democracy. Because you cannot be sure whether you are going or coming. And in a situation like that, that distrust builds on itself. And that building on itself is perhaps what has led to so many wrangles here and there.
All right. So Wasingishu abstained from giving it a yes or a no. That is
I think they're just
I know there's really nothing much.
They're just playing safe.
They're just playing safe.
They're just playing safe.
I mean, is it safe enough for one not to notice what it is that they wanted to speak?
I think what they are saying no indirectly.
Yeah. They're actually not playing safe. They just said no indirectly.
Yes, they said no, but used kind words by saying we abstain.
All right.
Because if most of the counties have already passed it, whether you pass it or refuse, it's neither here nor there.
And at the National Assembly, I mean, the public participation is also on in regards to the same. There's really nothing much, as we agreed, that is going to come out of that.
You see, with the National Assembly, it will not matter whether the parliament passes it or not. It still goes to the referendum, according to the law. Of course, if parliament refuses, says no, it will have an impact on a referendum vote, because Kenyans will say, well, if our representatives have said no, then why should we vote for it? So it will be important for parliament to pass it so that people can have confidence in it. So definitely, having public participation is worth it. Although I still wonder, our laws on public participation, if this is a popular initiative, it means that, like going around to manage to collect 1 million signatures plus, it means some people have already accepted it. Even if you go for public participation now, you are unlikely to meet 1 million people.
That's true.
You are unlikely to meet the 4 million people that signed for it. So we are following a law because it's there. But others, in my opinion, at the moment, it's superfluous doing the public participation thing.
All right. Well, Honorable Gikuya, of what interest would members of county assembly, think of, just trying to play safe on this one, in the sense that they abstain from debating, or from actually declaring whether they are for or against this particular bill? Just of what importance would it be?
Let me say, your Signature County, they played safe, and the reason why they played safe, actually, in the public picture, they don't want it to be seen siding in either way. In that particular, abstain means that you are neither here nor there. This particular, and it's a road in law, because in the vote, or even in the parliament, you can abstain, you can vote yes, you can vote no. And as my colleague has well elaborated here, an abstain is equivalent to no, but that's a silent no. And in this particular case, those who are in public participation will not feel aggrieved, because at least none of their side loses, because those who are pro yes and those who are pro no now have the county has come to what we call a corrective measure, that at least we have abstained. So we have not aggrieved those who are no or those who are yes, but we become neutral. That is equivalent to say neutral.
Okay.
Yeah, and being neutral, you are neither there nor here.
The truth of the matter is that Uasin Gishu is the county where the deputy president comes from. So the assembly would have liked to say no.
Right.
But they didn't want to say no because that might affect the deputy president.
Okay.
So they opted for.
Why would it affect him?
No, because he has said is ambivalent.
Oh, so they would not want to hurt him.
So they would not want to hurt him. But so they follow his path by also being ambivalent, by also saying they.
We do not know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they say they conducted public participation.
That is the home of the deputy president.
All right.
So they have to be very careful what they do, because I'm sure they would really like to say no.
Okay. You know what they said? We have conducted public participation, and the people are equally confused.
They were divided.
Yes.
The people are divided.
Yeah, they were divided. So
and
in that
therefore,
case, they have to speak on behalf of
that
the people.
particular county made what we call a Solomonic decision.
That was wisdom.
Of course. Yes.
Why would it be wisdom? Why would they care after all?
Well, let me tell you, they are not losers at any point, because already the direction.
What do they stand to gain anyway?
No, the direction is already met.
Yes.
But actually, they are just fulfilling the conditionalities, the constitutional conditionalities, that at least that particular county should be part of the others. When they have to make a decision, they cannot leave that particular exercise unconcluded. And then their conclusion is, we are neutral.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting one. And yes, such is the politics of the day. Briefly, let's talk matters economy. Freedom on Friday, Uhuru holds the key. Struggling businesses, relentless Kenyans deprived of nightlife are equally waiting to see whether President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to ease this. This was expected sometimes, that should be early last week, or that should be sometimes last week, but he did not. At a time when also the Ministry of Health is talking of, the numbers going up also. Well, I wouldn't want to say go up, because in comparison or in terms of, percentage, it is not as alarming. But then again, it's equally not as good as to where it is that we are gotten at. Do you suppose the president would proceed and do that? And is it necessary that he does that, the reopening of, or the lifting of the curfew?
I think lifting of the curfew, we need to be very careful. Yes, the nightlife is very important to the economy, in the sense that very many people derive their livelihood from those kind of activities, the nightclubs, the what have yous. But there are other activities late night that, apart from nightclubs, that also generate quite a bit in the economy. But we need to measure it very carefully, because there's a new wave coming on. And in Kenya, the doctors haven't told us yet whether it's the new variant of the virus or not, because they say that the new variants are more easily transmissible. If that were the case, then reopening nightclubs might not be the right way. Although on the other hand, nightclubs are frequented by the younger people who tend to withstand the infection better than the older people.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, those younger people will get in contact with the older people. So there is a problem there. So this is not a time I would like to be in the president's shoes.
I know.
He has to make a decision, and which is a life and death decision. And yet you have an economy that's struggling. So it's a difficult situation because Kenyans will push and say, remove the curfew. Okay, all said and done, even with the curfew in place, it's being broken all over.
Yeah.
Like when I was up country, I hardly saw anybody following,
running away
about the curfew.
at that hour.
Even leave alone the basics like do not shake hands.
Yes.
Up country, it's impossible. Everyone comes to shake your hand.
Nobody has their mask on.
Nobody has their mask on, so you have to walk around with your sanitizer.
Yeah.
So that after every handshake, you are busy sanitizing your hands. Then as a politician, you look around, you say, "Oh, they will think I'm being, rude."
Yes.
So there is a problem that we are not. I think they should have continued the public encouragement for people to follow the protocols.
Yeah.
If people are able to follow the protocols much better, then I would not be too worried about lifting the curfew and things like that.
Okay.
But so long as people are not keen, and it looks like people are fatigued, almost a year since the beginning of the pandemic, most Kenyans are fatigued. It has taken a toll on their economy, family finances, and things like that. So most Kenyans are very fatigued, and they would be willing to carry on whether they'll get the virus or not.
Okay,
and
informal
I think
settlements.
we're in a difficult situation here.
Well, the informal settlements are as good as the rural areas because there's nothing much that is being done towards, just maintaining the discipline on the measures set. Social distance. It's not even realistic to probably achieve this in this particular settlement. Mheshimiwa, do you think these individuals would feel like, President Uhuru Kenyatta, there's nothing much that the nighttime curfew is actually doing in trying to cut this spread, and so let us allow us to go and make money. We do not have money to fend for our families.
Yeah, then what I can say, if I were the president, unless the president insists on curfew because of maybe international PR, in this particular fight.
Have you heard about Magufuli? Well, we are not trying to say that was COVID, but
yes, but what I can tell you, the key issue here, curfew is neither here nor there.
Okay.
Because for sure, if at least you are, the curfew starts or commences at 10 during night, there are very few number of people who are just walking around there. Most of that time when most of the people are asleep. Okay. And I can tell you, those people who are, unless people are night shift people, or those people who are in the transport industry, those are the people who might be might be said during those wee hour. And I can tell you, it is of no harm to the country, because if you can close the nightclubs and give caveat that after 10 there will be no more beer taking outside there. Leave people to be free doing other things, because at least there is nothing much to harm during that wee hour than during the daytime. During the daytime is the time when it is not critical, because everybody is here and there fighting for the daily bread. Okay. But during those night time, at least it is a very silent, it is a very peaceful time. And if I were the president, I would say, let me lift the curfew, but let us still keep on what we call protocols of our protection. So that in this particular case, I want to argue that, in fact, the measures that we are supposed to stand by, and we are not supposed to leave or get out of that, is the conditionalities given by the Ministry for Health. That let us use the sanitizer every time, we keep washing our hands frequently, and let us have the mask. Let us also make sure that we keep those social distances. And I would say that the areas that you cannot be able to maintain those social distances as required, one is the areas of markets, because markets, there is no way that you will be able to keep those orders. And most likely, other areas are crabs. Because I don't think that actually we'll be taking a bottle here when your companion is served this and like that. But And there's no way that at least you can be able to be enjoying a beer when you are on mask. Yeah. and therefore, those are areas that at least have some question marks there. But in general, I would say we have performed well as a nation, especially in what we call informal sector. We have witnessed that actually we expected areas like Madale, areas like Kibla, areas like Mokurukwa Jenga to be the areas that actually heavily attacked by this particular pandemic. But Gotv or good luck, at least those areas were not okay as expected. Yeah. So I would say the discipline that we put, let us emphasize our people to still keep that discipline, because this particular virus is still within our midst and it has not gone anywhere. Therefore, if we keep on that, still we are safe reader. And if I would ask, those conditionalities should remain until it goes that even the vaccine being allowed here. I have still seen some cases which are circulating in the social media. I don't know how true they are. That actually even this vaccine you are not sure of. We have seen different narratives.
Well, as a doctor, he would tell you that we cannot.
For the vaccines,
yes.
I'm not surprised, because you remember this is the same. This virus falls in the group of like the influenza virus. And these are forever changing, so that like the influenza vaccine, what you get this year and what you get the following year are different vaccines, because they keep on changing. So this particular virus is also expected, and you can see there are the new variants coming on, which have got different symptoms again. You've seen some new symptoms being mentioned.
Yes.
So this is a virus that continuously changes. What I would say is that I think as a country, we are not putting enough money into research, because there's speculation now why the informal settlements have had less, not as huge a burden as was expected. And the speculation that perhaps because of the frequent respiratory infections, because of the overcrowding, perhaps in the process there's been some immunity built, so that by the time this virus comes, it can't penetrate as easily as we thought. So all these things need research. But as a country, we fear science, or we hate science. So we don't put enough money into research. But we should research about these things so we can get homegrown solutions. Because like somebody said, that while we are sitting here with bated breath waiting for the vaccine from the West, yet we have actually scientists here who could do it. You will be surprised that in the West, some of those scientists researching on those viruses there to get us the vaccine are actually Kenyans.
Right.
In fact, when I traveled last time, I went by air and to Kisumu, and there was a group of scientists going there, and one of them was actually from the USA, but he's Kenyan. And he has actually worked on the vaccines production there. So we actually have them, but because our government, or the people who have run government, don't understand science, so they fear it, and they don't like these academic types. They think that they know too much, so they don't give them money for research. So they have all voted with their feet and gone abroad. Yet this is the time we needed them here, so they can help us, well, by the way, produce. By the way, you should know that in Africa, Kenya was one of the first places that were producing vaccines for animals. They are there. Yes. So it's not that we don't. It's not that we are not capable.
After all, Senegal has done so well.
Yes. So for us, it's misplaced priorities. Now imagine if we had invested in that area. Right now in Africa, then Kenya would have stood to make quite a substantial amount of money, because we would be the ones who were exporting the vaccines, not sitting competing who should get the vaccine first when they have just flown in a few doses. So I think we are to blame ourselves. The amount of money we are throwing around, we are throwing it in the wrong direction. We don't look at the future, and especially in healthcare, because healthcare is not an immediate thing. You see, if you build a skyscraper or you build a dual carriageway, it looks spectacular and people can see it. But when you improve healthcare, it's not seen immediately. But what they don't realize is that for that dual carriageway or that skyscraper to be fully rented, people need to be healthy. In order to
the question would be, who would trust a vaccine coming from the country unless they have worked in collaboration with someone from, I don't know, or a specialist from Europe, and but all the same.
We could do this. Yes, we can do this. We don't even have to be in collaboration. But even those Western countries have been in collaboration with us.
Yes.
If you look at Kemri, for example, they have collaborated on the vaccine that has come into Kenya now. There was a collaboration with the Kenyan scientists, but it would have been the other way around.
Yeah.
But we don't seem to put enough investment, because it sickens me when you go to a place like Kemri and then you find that more than 90% of the funds for research for Kemri are donor funded.
Right.
It is sad. It is sad.
Nothing
We can't have it that way.
All right. Well, we are not in the best of shape economically, and so Africa, for the longest of time, has depended on donor funding, AIDS, and all that. I remember this book written by Kabisa Moyo.
You don't research.
Dead aid.
You don't research because you are rich. In fact, what Jawaharlal Nehru told India when he became prime minister was, because we are poor, so we must research. Because for you to get out of your poverty, you need that research information to help you know where you are going.
Nowadays, they say you have to be funded and
you
all
see,
that.
like we have KIPRA. Apart from the science part, we have KIPRA, Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis. That's a very important think tank, which needs to be adequately funded and adequately populated with the right people. Because these are the people who inform government policy. Now, Kibaki used that institution very well. And you can't say that you didn't see the difference.
We did.
We are not using that institution now, because we as Kenyans, somehow we just don't want to do these things. Yet, as I gave you the example of Jawaharlal Nehru, who said, because we are poor, so we must research and see where India is. Yeah.
All right, speaking of funding, and this one got into the National Assembly in regards to Treasury facing trouble right now after the members of Parliament approved the proposals limiting its reliance on domestic borrowing. Where does it place us? I mean, we always talk of running away from IMF, we talk of running away from World Bank, we talk of running away from China, but it looks like the National Assembly has placed Treasury at the heart of that at a time when we're struggling so hard to build our very own economy. Honorable Bekuya.
Yeah, thank you. Before I get to that, let me just end a coin on my colleague's sentiments.
Yes.
And that issue of becoming so dependent from donors is totally bad. And I can tell you, Africa, we are setting very bad examples. Because in Africa, I think we are capable of doing anything that actually the foreign countries are doing. But actually, I don't know where the laxity comes. And I'm sure the problem is leadership. Because everything is propelled by the leadership. Because the leadership, if the leadership gives a direction, and a direction that is a direction of putting priorities first, those priorities at least can give a result. At this particular point, it is very wrong that at least we have almost a whole year under this pandemic, and we have not gotten out of the box in thinking, how can we save ourselves without depending on the rest of the world? And I think the time has come that we must think out of the box. Because surely, why do we have this research institution within ourselves, and at least we are not utilizing them? We must realize and make sure that these people are well skilled. Let us commit them to job. And because I'm sure it's doable and they are capable of giving us a result. Coming to the issue to do with the economic situation.
Yes.
Let me say it's very hard, it's bad for us, because we are at a point where we are dependent with every single other single coin. And it's very unfortunate that Rinda, as a nation, we are having an appetite which is not seeing that, which is not sending, that at least we still want to keep borrowing. And let me tell you, borrowing is not bad, but it is important to borrow with clear measures and clear and prudent use of those borrowed money. And we are not supposed to borrow money and sink the money to what we call the current expenditure. Any borrowed coin of money should move to what we call development. And that kind of development, you must be very sure as a government that there is a return which will support you in repaying back. But for the situation where we are now, we're in a situation where we have borrowed, but once we come, the loan matures, instead of being ready to pay, we borrow elsewhere to repay what we borrowed. Then it tells us that actually we are insolvent. We are totally solvent. And what I can tell you, we have just signed a contract with what IMF. And let me tell you, the conditionalities are very tough, very painful. That actually, it's like we are saying we have put this country into receivership, which is very painful, very painful. Now we have a BBI which is talking about remitting that 5% of our revenue generated to the counties. But you feel to understand, where is this money coming from? Now that at least the country is at tune of $1 trillion repayment of borrowed money per year, and take into consideration what we are collecting domestically is not even at the tune of 2 trillion. We are less than that. And it is at the time where the targets are not coming in because of the damage effects by these particular corona epidemics. Today, we want to say, yes, we have a budget of 3.5 trillion. Yes. How are we going to manage it? 3.5 trillion, when domestically we cannot even collect 2 trillion. And we are, out of what we are collecting, we have at least a budget of $1 trillion to pay our debt. And we want us to remit 400 billion to the counties. When we are even to Akiti to serve the government and its recurrent with less than 400 billion. I cannot see how magic you are going to manage this. And the rest were telling us that we want to tighten a rope whereby we are going to set this country into what we call begging every time.
Yet the public debt management bill sits in Parliament.
I'm not an economist.
Yes.
But sometimes I look at things that I think economics is not a very difficult thing to handle.
Okay.
I think if you really come to think about it, because you know, some interesting thing, you know, Kenya at some point was rebased to a lower middle income economy. But nobody has been smart enough to say what role did CDF play in this. Now, something funny about CDF, you know, it's an economic stimulus given every year to the grassroots. It is.
That comes along with a lot of discrepancies also.
Yes, discrepancies are there. That one I must admit. But it's an economic stimulus right to the grassroots. Because that classroom you are building in some village somewhere, somebody within that village is a fundi there, is making money. Some supplier there is supplying cement. So that's an economic stimulus every year to the grassroots. Now this year, where we are now in March, so far CDF has not been disbursed for this financial year. And that can also show you why there is a bit of a problem. Then, what Kibaki did is he got us out of the clutches of IMF and World Bank. So we were able now to pursue our own interests. Because by the way, IMF and World Bank, I think, hardly understands Africa. Or maybe they understand and they just want to damage Africa. But they hardly understand. But once you get into the habit of where we are, when you get into debt up to your ears, then IMF and World Bank walk in and they make the treatment is worse than the disease. By the time they are through with you, like what they did to our healthcare, it's World Bank and IMF that ruined our healthcare. By the way, you are talking of universal healthcare now. I just laugh because when I was in medical school at KNH here, Kenyatta National Hospital, nobody paid any bills. People came in, they were treated and they went home. Nobody paid any bills. In fact, that time, patients were referred from Aga Khan and Nairobi Hospital to Kenyatta National Hospital. The Aga Khan and Nairobi Hospital were viewed like glorified nursing homes. But then we lost that because the World Bank came in and said now cost sharing. People have to share part of the cost of healthcare. And we lost our universal healthcare. Now we are trying to recreate it. You know, that's because of the World Bank and IMF.
But is it not where the Parliament is now sending Treasury to? We cannot sustain.
We come to that now.
Yes.
When you talk about Parliament stopping the local borrowing by GOK. You see, the lenders, the banks and so on, who have a lot of money, would rather invest in government paper because they are assured of repayment,
Yes.
and especially when the government is broke, the interest is higher, so they actually make more money. They would rather lend to the government than lend to you.
Yeah.
So what you need to do, and which Kibaki did, reduce the interest by the government so that the lenders
SMEs
are
can
no
also
longer
get a chance.
interested in lending to the government.
Okay.
They can now lend to you,
So that
and
you
when they
can-
lend to you, you invest in some business.
Okay.
When you invest in that business, there's a tax return to the government, and in the process you are employing people, so you are also reducing the unemployment rate. So it builds on itself. That's why I was saying that sometimes I wonder whether economics is such a difficult thing, but I think people in leadership, especially at the level of the executive, all of them should get some basic training in economics, so they understand whatever they do, what impact does it have on the economy? Because we have a situation where we are having environmental impact assessment, we are having all those impact assessments. I don't know they are having economic impact assessments as a routine, because some of the things we are doing are actually hurting us. Because if you are going to go into a big endeavor, a huge contract, and this contract actually, whoever the contractor comes is coming with their materials from abroad, they are coming with their own cement, they are coming with their own whatever. So you are not stimulating your economy in that kind of situation. While if you went for a small project, like I remember after the clashes of 2007, 2008 elections, what the Ministry of Roads did, they tinkered a bit with the issue of rural roads, such that when we got money in the constituency to build a road, it came with some additional money so that you can hire young people to maintain that road. And it jacked up the economy in the rural areas, because the young people, all they did was to have some equipment. Then you say, okay, from this here to here, these are 3 kilometers. You group, you maintain this. After the road has been made, now that group, their work is to maintain. Where there's a pothole, they fill in some maram. Where there's a drainage blockage, they open, and the road lasts longer. But the young people are making some money. Simple things like those, they actually, have a major impact on the ground.
The government has already leveraged on this financing from external places or external sources. For instance, we have talked about how much we have incurred so much debt. Honestly speaking, is there more to get from outside? I mean, if they're to be told you're not getting anything, or you're not getting as much as you'd expect from the local industries?
I can tell you, Linda, the risk we are in is that even our lenders are also hypocrites. You have seen China. It's like they have reached the point of where they have just released a red flag. We have seen the president and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga last visit to China, and they came back empty-handed. Actually, they were out there to look for money to push the railway from Naivasha to the border, which actually was turned down. And this tells you what? Tells you that, in fact, be very careful even when you are borrowing. Because at some point, you put a very big risk to the country. Because borrow everywhere. And now currently, the government has now given the counties a room to borrow, something to do with 60 billion. Can you imagine? The national government has borrowed that tune of trillions, almost now heading to 8 trillion. And then you have now allowed the counties also to borrow all these billions. At the end of the day, Kenya is on an auction. Because what do you do if you are alive to a point of red flag all over, and you cannot borrow more? Counties can't borrow more. What do? You will be only left with what you call internal borrowing. Internal borrowing, if you are unable to pay back, you also stop you. So what do you do as a country? So it is a big risk, and this risk is that, in fact, we are not putting what we call measures on what we call the strategies to borrow and repay. It's like we are just borrowing just for sake of borrowing, but we are not sure what we are borrowing will give us a boost to repay.
The Public Debt Management Bill, fronted by Honorable Bunyasi Sakwa, courtesy of ANC, is in Parliament. Nothing is being done towards making it work so that at least we're able to manage our debt.
I can tell you for sure that's a very good bill, And I'm sure that the bill will be given the green light at the end of the day. But there is no magic. I can tell you very good laws have been crafted and they are just pending under the rocker. Yeah. I can tell you. Because even the issue that we have been talking with Mheshimiwa there before, issues to do with the Electoral Commission. Electoral Commission has every other crafted law to assist them do their job very, very independently. But it's that they are relaxed. They are not using that particular laws. Okay. In this particular case, even though what a good law comes in, unless the implementer is clear in mind that he's ready to implement this, actually it will just paper in the locker.
I think what happens here is that we having many laws that you don't enforce, it just shows that actually you think but you don't act on your thoughts. Yeah. So it's actually a shame. But also what we need to know is that lenders are not charitable institutions. Lenders are in business. Yeah. They intend to make a profit. So if you are borrowing, you are either investing it to generate enough income to repay, right, or else you have another source of income that will help you pay that debt. If you don't have that, then you have to restrict your borrowing, because these are not charitable institutions. Yeah. If you borrow, like for example, when you are employed and you borrow, then you have to pay from your salary. So it means you reduce your expenses so you can repay. So what you borrowed, what you did with the money that you borrowed is very important. Because if what you did with the money that you borrowed perhaps got you a house, so now you are not paying rent, you are living in your own house, then that makes sense. Okay. Or what you did, you invested somewhere, which is now giving you income, that makes sense. Okay. But if you borrowed and ate it up, and now you are cutting from your salary to repay, then it doesn't, and that's where the government is. That's where the government is right now. We borrowed, ate it, and now we have no more money to pay.
Unfortunate events, so to speak. We are not laughing because we're happy. It's just ironical to even speak
but
about
it is telling us that actually we have failed somewhere. Yeah. Because we have what you call, there before, during Kibaki's, I remember very well, the collaboration between the planning ministry and the treasury was so cordial, and that was during Oparanya. And let me tell you, things were working, and you could see, yes, treasury with your budget, but here the planning is here. Then, before we move on, then there is what you call, yes, consultant that we can do this, put these priorities in order. But now it's like we are doing these things haphazardly. I can tell you, it's very important that at least you have what you call a cabinet, and that cabinet is just there per se to be to just a rubber stamp. That cabinet is there to assist you work and work smoothly. Okay. But if you have a cabinet which is like yes, it is a stagnant object. They cannot decide on their own. How can you have a cabinet minister who cannot be able to prepare a ministry? He must be there waiting for you. That's what the independence is very good. That actually the executive should also give room to these people, so that these people we can see how they can perform. Okay. But if you care about that all the time, you create fear to them. Actually, these guys just sit down in their office, and you are expecting there is anything going on.
Over time, handling this show, Mheshimiwa Dr. Eseli Simiyu, I am hugely convinced. So sad to speak that governments, legislatures, the political leaders are operating in fear. I do not know fear of what. And so as the common mwananchi, we are left asking ourselves whether we're going to get anything in return. There's so much, fear that has been spoken about, propagated, and I ask myself, then why did we have to vote these people in? Why did they have to be nominated in? Why did they have to be appointed in, if at all?
I can tell you, Rita, I always remember how Kibaki jump-started this country. Yeah. It was not by miracle. It was just by making sure that you are the one at the steering.
It is possible.
Yes, make sure that at least your job is to lead.
45 seconds. Uhuru has failed? President Uhuru?
I think the treasury mandarins have failed, because even if if I were a treasury mandarin and the president wanted certain things done, and I know that those things will not work out, I'll tell him, no, if you do this, this will happen, it's not good for you. Then when you say that they are operating in fear, then I would say that political leaders who would operate in fear, then they've got no business in politics. Sure. Because politics needs a lot of brave action. Mm-hmm. So you can't be in politics and live in fear. Mm-hmm. Because if you live in fear, then you should get out of politics.
I will come one day, sit in Parliament 2-3 days and see how much active you gentlemen are and whether you are facing and approaching these issues head-on as would be expected. Embakasi North Member of Parliament James Gakuya and Honorable Dr. Selisi Meyo Tongaren, Member of Parliament, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. As always, we close it at that, but to a different conversation altogether on matters nutrition. Remember, it is always good for us to get to enjoy it. It's actually Tasty Wednesday, but it's a special one because this time around we learn how to portion our plates so that when we enjoy these beautiful meals or these sweet meals, we also get them right, or we get it right in terms of portioning, in terms of nutrition. That should be after this short break. Thank you.
Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets, and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The link is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets, and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. TV 47, the home of untold stories. Just believe in yourself and dream big. Do not give up on your hopes. Just believe in yourself and dream big. Do not give up on your hopes.
If you were keen enough to listen to what it is that the members of parliament were speaking about at some point, talking of COVID-19, the very first time the cases were reported in the country, we are actually 1 year into it, we had constant reminders of how important it was for us to maintain, proper nutrition, for us to have the best of meals, good meals for that matter. And, in this conversation also, portioning was very important. You're told that in large numbers or you can take so much, of course, of these particular nutrients, you can take very little of these and all that. This will come in handy to balance and make sure that you are healthy, and also make sure that the chances of you getting COVID-19 are lessened. And so you had Member of Parliament of Tongaren, Eselisimi, you speak of how important it is for us to be, careful on the aspect of health, to make sure that we maintain that aspect of, upholding the measures that have been put on board, and also getting our people healthy. If we get our people healthy, you can be rest assured that everything else will fall into place. They say health is the best wealth. And so in that case, as we get into the tasty Wednesday moment, we're going to be doing it a little bit different. Last week we cooked, we enjoyed and everything, but we were just eating randomly. You should have seen my cameraman here. Una pick two nakula without just getting to understand, is it a good thing to do or no? Just because it's sweet, it does not mean it is healthy. Well, just because it is sweet, it equally does not mean it is unhealthy, for as long as you take it, in moderation. And so, joining me for a conversation that would be helpful for us to get to understand how do we have our plate portioned so that we are confident we've had it right in terms of meals. The nutritionist, that is Dr. Rose John, joins me this morning. Good to have you after a while.
Thank you.
So at least we go through the moments of understanding how do we get to portion our foods. It's important. It is crucial. From where I come, that is land of Mulembe, we always say ugali is key. And having come to Nairobi, I have met nutritionists that have told me constantly, while you love your ugali, it should be the least that you're getting while you're portioning your meals.
Sure.
I have lived in denial, and I can almost tell you that everyone in this side has lived in denial in regards to that. But even as we live in denial, it's important that we keep reminding ourselves of what it is for us, so that we do not get into moments where we have had health issues just because we refused to listen to what it is that nutritionists said. And so it is crucial that we talk matters nutrition. It is tasty with the kind of colors that we have on set. If you can see, if you're able to see that, you can be rest assured that food, if it's as colorful as this one, you will enjoy. All right, so please introduce yourself as you take us through what we are going to pick today. I've also seen water. I'm always told that water is very, very important. You need to tell us just how much, the amount of water that we need to take in a day.
Okay, thanks so much, Linda.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here this morning.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah, and then we have to learn a lot today about the portion on what you are supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Before we go there, why do we talk about portion? You see, because sometimes we can have portion, as you are saying, but it's not quality.
Yeah.
You can have quantity, but not quality.
True.
That's what we say. Even we say you can have a quantity blood, but you don't have quality blood out of what you are eating every day. So why do we check the portion we eat every day? Because if we put more to our body, as you have been talking every time when you're here, that if you put more in your system, you get what we call food pressure. The body complains because you have put too much. And if there is somewhere the body uses energy, it is when it is digesting food. From anything else, the body uses a lot of energy to digest food. So I can imagine where we eat from morning without looking at the portion that we eat. So what happens at the end of the day? We get sick. We get weight, because when we talk about portion, the first thing that clicks in people's mind is weight. And not weight only. You get bloated when you eat too much. You get gases when you eat too much. You get constipation when you eat too much, because you can also eat too much, but the wrong combination of the food. You get undigested food. Sometimes you feel nauseated that it's too much. The body doesn't want anything else. The body is complaining itself that you have put too much. That's why you feel nausea, no appetite. Then somebody could call and tell you, Daktari, I don't have appetite. And then when you check the diet, you find that this person have been putting too much to the body. Sometimes I say we make our bodies as a dustbin. Anything we get, we put into our body. But we don't look at the portion and the quality of that food. Will that food help me? Most of, as you have said, as Africans, we look at the quantity. We say, nitashiba.
Yes.
If not,
there's a problem.
There is a problem somewhere.
As opposed to look at price. Very expensive kushinda carbohydrates.
Exactly.
I mean.
So you find that because of that notion that lazima, I have to fill my stomach. But you see, I tell my clients that if you can understand that the stomach never eats food, that is when you'll start now thinking, what have I been doing?
You need to take note of that.
The stomach doesn't eat food.
All right.
At all. The stomach is just a passage where the food gets into the stomach, it gets digested, then assimilation gets into the small intestine where you have villi. So my slogan says, don't feed your stomach. Feed your cells.
But kushiba pia is equally important, Daktari. You acknowledge that.
It's okay, but kushiba the right food.
Okay.
Because if you fill the stomach and the stomach doesn't eat that food, it goes to the cells. Then when the food reaches to the cells, the cells has to complain. This is not the right fuel. You have fueled the wrong fuel. So what will happen? You start feeling sluggish, fatigue, headache, constipated, such symptoms. They come because of choosing to fill our stomach or to feed our stomach, not our cells. Because when you think what cells are supposed to be fed, that's when you'll come to portion, and that is when you'll come to quality of the food that you eat. And most of the time, some people come and they tell me, Dr. I eat well. I ask them, how many meals per day? I eat like 3 or 4 sometimes. And because I'm diabetic, my doctor said I should eat 6 meals per day. And then the same doctor will tell my patient that lose weight. What magic? It is impossible.
It is impossible to have 6 meals a day and
then you lose. How?
Is it not?
It's not possible.
Are you not eating the right foods and the right portions?
No. Those small portion, the body calls for more insulin. And here, the patient has an issue of insulin. Because every time you eat, the body calls for insulin. Every time you eat, the body calls for insulin. And my patient here has insulin resistance. Insulin resistance doesn't mean the body doesn't give insulin. The body gives insulin when you have diabetes type 2. But the body does not recognize that insulin.
All right.
So you need insulin from outside. Though diabetes type 2 should not be insulin dependent. Insulin dependent is diabetes type 1. That is juvenile diabetes, you see. So diabetes type 2 is insulin resistance. The body has insulin, but the body cannot recognize it. Why? Because of eating those frequent meals. That is what has caused diabetes. So when we come to the portions in diabetic patient, definitely we have to reduce the portion. We have to reduce the meals, not frequent meals per day. Sometimes there was a time I told one of my patients, you have diabetes. You have to fast if you want to cure diabetes. They were like, what? This is impossible. Even when I skip a meal, I feel dizziness, I feel weak.
And some of them, while they have this, they also are doing, jobs and activities that are demanding, and they will get to that point where they genuinely need the food.
You see, why do you feel the withdrawal symptoms when you have diabetes? When you feel the withdrawal symptoms because you are using the drugs. Because you cannot use anything for diabetic without eating food. The first thing you eat food,
then
the body calls for insulin, which you don't have in the system. You get insulin from outside to balance the sugar that you have taken from that food. So what makes the body to be resistant to insulin? Then that's why you come to the portion. The body is becoming resistant to the insulin because of food. How are you going to help the body to recognize the insulin, which is in the system?
Limit the intake?
Sorry, you limit the intake of food.
All right.
You limit the intake. It's like we find somebody who is alcoholic. We take the person to the rehab. We don't add alcohol to that person. We withdraw alcohol, and this person will suffer from withdrawal symptom. The same thing with the diabetic patient. They will suffer from withdrawal symptoms of food. I don't say they don't eat completely. We will check the portion that they will eat at the right time and how many meals per day. You see, you can eat the right portion, but several times a day, or different times per day. And this one will cause a lot of weight. It will pump up. Because if you go to the doctor, then they tell you to eat 6 times per day. It ends up, you get 10 more kg after 1 month. Then the doctor is like, I told you to lose weight. What happened? You're eating too much. Then you said I eat 6 meals per day. That is what I've been doing, as you have said. The small portions, but 6
meals.
6 times per day. That will make the body, it's too much. And it will make the body to ask for insulin. And that's now you become like you are insulin dependent.
That one is on diabetics.
That's one is
generally,
diabetic,
you probably do not have any health complications. I am a mother, and I understand that we talk about portioning of foods. Even at that point when you probably are pregnant, after you get this baby, after 6 months, you're told, I mean, even before 6 months, the breastfeeding times and everything, you're always told, these times are the best, do not overdo it, do this and this and everything. So therefore, it tells you that indeed, getting your amount of foods right is crucial. So let's get to the key things that need to be noted every time you're thinking of portioning food. Age, is the age a factor? Health conditions, like you rightfully put it, are there factors that would probably speak of what one needs to do when they are getting their foods?
Okay, the first thing when you think about food, you think about life. Because without food, there's no life. And you think about the blood. Because I say most of the time, if you don't eat the right food, you won't get quality blood. You can have quantity blood, but it is not quality. So that is something I would like people to understand. You need to have quality blood. And this quality blood, it says that your cells, the immunity is at spa. When you have quality blood, the immunity is at spa. So now, to this breastfeeding mom, to this somebody who has a health condition, to this person who is overweight, what are they supposed to do? The first thing, you think of food that prolongs life. There are some food that shorten life. There are some food that makes you to age so quickly, like the proteins. When you do more proteins, less than vegetables, you will age so quickly.
Okay.
Even the skin will tell. You'll get wrinkles because too much of protein, the body terms it as toxins in the system. And that's when you take a baby to the hospital, are you giving the baby uji with wimbi with peanuts? Yes, that is now the problem. This is now the excess protein showing through the skin. Through the skin. So stop that one. Change what you are giving the baby. So protein makes you to age so quickly, and especially when you do more protein. That's why we come to nyama, meat.
Well, the meat lovers must be worried by now, honestly. Yes?
Yes. When now we talk about meat, meat decomposes so fast in the system. So when you eat too much of meat, you create a lot of acid in the system. So when the blood is acidic, it shows even through the skin.
Okay.
That is where you can see gouts when the blood is acidic because of the roasted meat. That's when you can see arthritis because meat is acid forming food.
Okay.
That's when you can see skin problem because meat is acid forming food. So when we come to protein, you should measure the portion that you are taking. When you have my containers here,
yes,
in every meal that you are eating, and Linda have said when you are over 30 years, and according to the work that you do, now I'm talking to those people who are sitting in the office.
Right.
I'm talking to people like you. I'm talking to people like this cameraman here. They are not that, they don't active. They are not that active.
Work does not involve so much of activity.
And more energy.
Yes.
So these people who are in the office, these people who doesn't have more work to do, those are the ones who are supposed to check the portion.
Okay.
Because we cannot tell somebody who is in the garden the whole day to eat this type of protein. This is not enough for that person.
Okay.
Yes. Because the more energy you put in, the more energy you are burning.
All right.
You get? And this energy you are getting it from the food that you are taking. So most of the people who are sick and most of the people who are overweight are those who are sitting in the office most of the time. So those people are supposed to check their portion on what they are eating. So the protein that you're supposed to eat per meal in a plate, it is like this.
All right.
What type of protein are you supposed to take? We have grains. We have meat. Now when we come to meat, how much am I supposed to eat? And what type of meat am I supposed to eat? Scientists, they say white meat is better than red meat.
Okay.
There where we have chicken, turkey, we have fish, that is white meat. Pig is not white meat.
Yeah, that's one thing that people, by the way, you need to get this right.
Yes.
Because numerous times I remember there's a time we really had this debate with a friend of mine. I am telling them pig white meat. It is not white meat. It is not. Then we're not so active on matters, Google and all that until I agree that it's scientifically proven that it is not. So
it's not white meat.
Yeah.
Pig is red meat.
Yeah.
And it's even worse than red meat pig.
Okay.
It's worse than red meat. So, because most of the time it decomposes so quickly and it makes a lot of worms in the system. When you go to Madagascar, that's where they breed a lot of pigs. And most of the people there, they have seizures, conversions because of using pig products.
Okay.
Yeah. So, pig is not healthy. Even if you are eating, you should be cautious on what you are doing because it will end up bringing a lot of problem in the system.
The Muslim brothers are lucky.
Yeah, sure.
That is a no-go
Even
zone.
some Christians are lucky.
Yeah, even some Christians actually.
Because the Bible forbids to take pig.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we come now to red meat, scientists also they say goat meat is better than cows or sheep meat.
All right.
Yes, they say goat meat is better. So why? Because goats, they are choosy on what they eat, and they eat a lot of bitter herbs and thorns. So they say, if you want to choose red meat, choose goat meat. How many pieces per plate? Per plate, you're not supposed to take more than 4 pieces.
Wow.
The small pieces we cut. That is enough. You see, we go for meat because of vitamin B12.
Yeah.
We don't have B12 in the plant-based. And the only thing we have that has B12 is alfalfa. You know alfalfa? Alfalfa is this lucerne that we give to cows.
What is that? How does it look like? It's a plant?
It's a fodder.
It's a fodder?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. It's a plant, yes, but it's a fodder for cows.
Okay.
But it is good for human consumption. And many people doesn't know. But when you go to the market where the Asians they buy, you get the alfalfa there because they know the health benefits.
Google is my friend. I probably know it, but with a different name. Yes, as you proceed.
Okay. So alfalfa is high in B12.
Right.
But most of the plants they don't have B12, and that's why we go for.
I have seen it.
Yes.
I have seen the plant. Yes, I know it actually. I know it.
Alfalfa means the father of all foods.
Right.
Yes, that's what it means. Yeah,
okay,
because
alfalfa.
it takes, yes, alfalfa. It's a Greek word meaning the father of all foods. In English, we call it Lusan. Yes.
I know it. We take this a lot. See, I would tell you nakilugha yetu, lakini let me not. Yeah,
you tell me behind the scenes.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, in plant-based food, there are people who are plant-based. 100% plant-based. And there are people who are raw plant-based vegans.
All right.
Raw plant-based vegans. That means they never eat anything cooked. Never. And we have them. They are living in this planet.
Right.
And when they go to the doctor, they have quantity and quality blood.
Okay.
Their skin, they glow. When if you Google, there is this lady called Annette Lankins. Annette Lankins, she have taken raw food now for about more than 30 years.
It's automatic. She is here.
Yes. She have taken raw food for more than 30 years. And the husband has been eating cooked food. Annette Lankins, she have never taken even an aspirin since she started on raw food.
Wow.
But the husband, Lankins, he has been taking cooked food. He has diabetes, he has arthritis, he has complication of the body. Then when they work together with Annette Lankins, people ask him, what are you doing with the young girl? They don't think it's there.
I can see them here, young man. Maybe with your friend, and I'm not trying to advertise it, but yes.
What are you doing with the young girl? Because she glows.
Actually, she looks
and she's a senior citizen.
To her.
She's over 70 years.
Okay.
But she eats only raw food.
Wow.
I try to eat about 80% raw in my diet.
You should see doctor's skin, like one-on-one. You would want to.
I try to do raw most of the time. I do more water, and I don't know when was the last time to go to the hospital. Maybe as I'm going to see somebody in the hospital who is sick.
Okay.
The same thing with my kids, because we do more of smoothies at home.
In fact, it's good to introduce them as early
as possible.
Yes.
And you teach them about the anatomy and physiology of the human being, so they can understand why can't I eat crepes? Why am I eating a banana? Why am I eating apple instead of taking meat? Why am I eating white meat instead of red meat? They should understand the anatomy and the physiology, how the body works. When they understand that way, even when they go outside, they won't eat.
Right.
Because they know it will affect their health. The same thing in Daniel in the Bible. They couldn't defile themselves with king's meal. Why? Because they knew when you eat the wrong diet, you will get sick. When they talk about defilement, it means you are going to get sick when you eat the wrong diet in Daniel chapter 1. So, whatever you eat, the first thing, think, how much am I supposed to eat if it is protein? How much am I supposed to eat if it's carbohydrates? More of carbohydrates leads to diabetes. More of carbohydrates leads to being obese or being overweight. And that's why millions of people are overweight. Sometimes I walk through the street, I'm like, what?
This can be addressed.
This is food, this can be addressed, but now...
But then these people have decided otherwise.
Exactly.
But they should probably come and visit you. And,
so we come to...
So the carbohydrates, what portion of carbohydrates should one
This
take?
size.
Okay.
It's barely this size.
Hey, but kidogo sana, my friend.
Yes, because you're not using more energy. So what you're supposed to do, you want to fill the stomach.
Yes.
If you feel this one is not going to fill your stomach, you add more vegetables to fill your stomach. We say in a plate like this, we make it a clock like this, like a clock like this. This half of the plate
should be veggies.
Should be vegetables. When I tell people to go and eat salad, somebody takes just one nyanya, one kitungu, and then
slices
and then
sometimes it's too much.
And then they tell me
that portion.
I do eat a lot of salads. Then I ask them, what quantity? They tell me one nyanya, one kitungu. I'm like, what?
That's nothing.
We are supposed to take a full plate like this when I talk about salad.
Okay.
This one will fill your stomach at the end of the day. You see, we want to fill the stomach. We want to feel there's something in our stomach. This one will fill the stomach. It is easily digested and it is easily absorbed in the system, the vegetables.
Yeah.
So when you take half of the plate, the vegetables, the quarter of the plate, you do carbohydrates. The quarter of the other place, you do protein. That is the way we are supposed to do.
What if the veggies, if you don't necessarily have full of them, maybe the reason why they tell you this is because we'll call it kachumbari for that matter, and then there are the vegetables, the cooked ones for that matter, and also there's a fruit. Is it not enough to create this balance?
It is balanced, yes, but the quantity is still
low.
It's still low.
Okay.
Because I can tell you, eat fruits, then you eat 1 banana per day. That is still low.
Okay.
You see, you need to eat a plate of fruits. And most of the time, we are not supposed to eat fruits with anything else. The way people eat and then they eat fruits, or they eat fruits first, then they eat food. Okay. That is wrong.
So,
because fruits are easily digested by the body.
All right.
So the time you take fruits and food together, the body will stop to digest food. It will start digesting fruits.
Okay.
So this food will take long to the system, in the system. So
it
what will
poison us?
It will ferment because of body temperature.
When it's not questioning, I think time is also an important, the time difference and everything. So if I have to take my fruits, maybe take fruits, wait for an hour or two, or how long should I wait for me to start eating this? So we come back and talk about that after this.
Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The name is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets, and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Are you a storyteller? What is that untold story in your village? Tell us the story in 3 minutes. Submit that story to your untold stories at tv47.co.ke and stand a chance to win a camera and other goodies. The top stories will be aired on TV47 and the viewer will vote for the best story through the SMS number 22047. The story must be an evergreen story that has never been told before. The deadline for submitting the stories is March 15, 2021. The name is by SMS on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. Only the wearer knows where it pinches the most. Soil fertility, proper temperature, water are just some of the factors needed to make that crop germinate. And for that animal, adequate feeds and healthy conditions is what they need. Kilimo Diaries takes you to different farmers, markets, and processing companies and have you fully equipped for that agriculture venture. Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This month, the Throwdown treats your taste buds with a sweet ride down dessert heaven with delicious and tasty recipes that will make your sweet tooth tingle. The Throwdown, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Untold Stories.
Welcome back to the broadcast. This is a subject that is really important for you. That is in regards to how you portion your foods. Plate, to make sure that one, umeshiba, yes, but importantly, you have taken the right portions of nutrients in your body, because that's crucial. It will help you a great deal in terms of maintaining your health. You will not be frequenting hospitals and all that. That's what Dr. says. You will have the best of skin, that one that you die for. You'll have the best of body shape, that one that you die for. And it's really not difficult from what she says. It's just a habit that you get into yourself, and you find that over time you adjust, and actually you like it. Though sometimes like in vitu zingine, I'm just thinking, but then again, once you start it, it is pretty easy. So, Dr. before we went for break, we were talking about the durations, while you portion. I know we are not done with portioning, and we'll come to that. The durations. For instance, if I decide that I have my bowl of fruits, and maybe I have meals, and in most cases you've seen this happening. So you're going there into the hotel, or even at home, you're having a full course meal. So you have soup plus accompaniment, you get to the main meals, and then you get to the salads almost immediately. It's like you're doing them combined. Should there be some level of duration, a difference in time before you decide that you're taking all this?
Okay. I say you plan for your meals. Okay. That's the best thing, and you not get confused. If you plan, I'm going to eat fruits in the morning, eat just that fruits in the morning. Don't eat anything else. If you plan, I'm going to eat fruits at lunchtime, eat fruits lunchtime. In the morning, eat food. Like most of the time, that's what I do. Okay. I eat my food, my ugali in the morning. I eat my githeri in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I eat food, even my kids. Even when you come to our place, you'll never get tea. Wow. Unless you get herbal teas, green tea, hibiscus sometimes. We get, there is a combination we call herbal tea complex. We mix them together in the same ratio, and then that one you can have that. But the other tea that people take, you cannot get it in my house. Okay. So we eat food, including my kids, they eat food before they go to school. So they wake up in the morning, they go to the dispenser, they drink water.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, they drink water. They don't ask for tea. They drink water. After drinking water, they go to the bathroom. They take a shower. Then the food is ready. They take their food in full uniform. They brush their teeth. They go to school. Mm-hmm. Then they have their water with them as they are going to school. Okay. So when you eat in the morning, the first hours of the morning, the body uses a lot of energy. Because now you are working, you are up and down, you are thinking, even if you are in the office, you are doing too much in your computer. Mm-hmm. You see, the body is working. So that food will be used by the body. In between breakfast and lunch, if you get a cup of smoothie, that is green smoothie, that is what I do. I'm telling you what I do. And I've told you, I don't know what was the last time to be in the hospital. Yeah. Because whatever you eat, you are what you eat. And even sometimes you say we are what the body absorbs. What you eat today, as I say, it will all can talk tomorrow. So in between, as you drink water, you can also have a half liter of smoothie. Lunchtime, when people take tea, instead of tea, do smoothie.
Okay.
Because smoothie has phytonutrients. Phytonutrients, they are absorbed by the cells. That is food for the cells. Because these green smoothies, they are vegetable. You have not subjected them to the fire. You have not killed them. Because immediately you put food on the fire, you kill. When you get that flavor in the air out, and then you are like, hey, this food smells so good. That one is vitamins and minerals. Okay. They are being evaporated in the air. So when you eat food, you just eat empty food that doesn't have food in it. The food in it has evaporated. So that's why we advocate on raw food, because raw food is 100% vitamins and minerals. So after that, take lunch. If you take lunch, I take most of the time, I take fruits. Lunchtime.
Okay.
Then after lunch, between now lunch and dinner, here I take water and I take my juices now, carrot juice, cucumber juice, beetroot juice. Those are my favorite.
Gotta be a lot of work there.
Yes, it's not a lot, because I can make juice for 3 days.
Okay, yes.
I can make smoothies for 2 days. You see?
And so you just get them from the refrigerator.
From the fridge, yeah. You warm with warm water, and then you drink.
So taking them cold is another problem?
To some people.
Really, to some people.
To some people, yeah. But me, I take them cold. But some people, they cannot tolerate that coldness.
Okay.
Yes. So after that, dinner, you can take another cup of smoothie. And you go and sleep.
And sometimes you argue that, they are not as sweet, so you need to add, sugar and all that.
You can add honey.
You brought them the other day here. They were so sweet, and you told me there were no additives.
No additives. You can add honey if you're not allergic to honey. You can also add like apples.
Okay.
Apples, they blend very well with the smoothies. If you have the issue of gastritis, hyperacidity, arthritis, you don't add pineapple, you cannot add banana, because it will ferment so easily before it is absorbed to the system. And then it will be absorbed with a lot of gases and acid, and then you will get pain. It will trigger the pains of arthritis. So it's good to check on if you are diabetic, we cannot add fruits. Unless we do an avocado, it's a fruit and it's a vegetable or good fat.
Yeah.
And then you can add coconut.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I scrub I grate the coconut, or I use the coconut water when I'm blending my smoothies. Yes, the coconut water.
All right.
Sometimes you can add also the seeds, when you come now to seeds and nuts.
Okay.
So every day you're supposed to take seeds and nuts.
That is kidogo.
Yes, these are like 2 tablespoons.
Wow.
So when I'm doing my salads, I add chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, and flax seeds.
Okay.
And now I've combined them. I've graded them into, when you come to my office, you'll get them there. I've combined them in the same. Yes, I've blended them together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and then now you just sprinkle them in your smoothies or in your salads, and then you eat. We have nuts. We have things like almonds, nuts, cashew nuts, walnuts. Peanuts, I say use them sparingly, because they have carcinogenic traces. Even if you are eating them, use them sparingly. Yeah, because if you use too much of peanuts, you end up having a skin disease, or that is excess protein, or you end up having cancer.
Okay.
Yes, use them sparingly. I don't say you don't use them, but use the best nuts to use is almond nuts and walnuts. Yeah.
Well, this was a bit expensive, one would tell you, but then again, as Dr. will always say, if you compare the cost that you'll have saved yourself, in the long run as you go to hospital or as you have difficulties with your health, then you'd probably say, it was worth investing in it or investing before it got to that.
There is another issue of, Linda, of weight.
Yes.
You see, those people who doesn't want to lose weight, you eat 2 meals in a day, 2 cooked meals in a day. And I always say, anytime you eat cooked food, let there be raw food. When you take an onion, you put it in a kitchen rack. You take turmeric, you put it in a kitchen rack, ginger, garlic, even carrot, you put them there, carrot in the fridge. You will find that after some few weeks, they are growing. Where are they growing?
There's life in there.
Exactly.
Wow. There you go.
There's life. So that life is vitamins and minerals that makes that carrot to shoot, that makes that kitungu or onion to shoot. You see? But when you take the same things and you boil them and you return them there at the kitchen rack,
they will not grow.
They will decompose.
They will.
Because there's no life.
Okay.
So the more you eat cooked food, the more you grow old and you get deceased.
Well, I don't want to get old, and so it is time. I hope it's not too late, by the way. That's
it's
what
not too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
Okay, we're still on portioning. I am curious to know, what is this there?
These are not. I've said about nuts.
That one.
These are healthy fats.
These ones are vegetables.
Yes, those are vegetables. Okay. These are healthy nuts. Healthy nuts, we have talked about almonds. Yeah,
okay.
We have talked about, you can now put the seeds, like 1 to 2 tablespoons. You can put this, you can count them if they are not grinded. You can count like 10 almonds in every smoothie that you put, or you can put like cashew nuts, or you can also use, there's another one I've forgotten, healthy fats. Here you can do coconut. I put coconut oil in my smoothies. Yes, you can measure your coconut oil, and it's healthy fats, you know.
Right,
You can put avocado oil. We can put simsim oil. Simsim oil is very high in calcium and phosphorus. It's the best food with a balanced portion of calcium and phosphorus. For the calcium to be absorbed in the body, there should be phosphorus.
Okay.
And people doesn't know that. Yeah. Yes.
So all right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
for
if you're taking calcium
without
you
phosphorus,
have phosphorus.
It's not absorbed.
Foods that are rich in phosphorus. You said simsim has it.
We have simsim. We have asparagus, pomegranate, apple.
So if you take your calcium peke yake,
no, it's useless. The body doesn't. It's like taking turmeric, what people are doing, without black pepper.
Here?
It can't work. And that's why you can't.
I'm not going to get confused in this nutrition thing, honestly.
Yes. Black pepper is a catalyst that helps the turmeric to be activated, even the potency to be high, and to be reabsorbed in the body.
Okay.
Yes. If you take turmeric without black pepper, utatoa tu bure kabisa.
Vile tumekunywa turmeric mingi hapo all this while.
And that's why turmeric is an anti-inflammatory. And I have always said we have different species of turmeric. People, they just go and take turmeric spice and think it's work. We have medicinal turmeric. We have turmeric spice. We have turmeric for cosmetic purposes. We have turmeric for dyeing clothes. So we have different species of turmeric. So we have the medicinal turmeric. The medicinal turmeric, when now you put, because it has curcumin, when now you put black pepper, it activates it to work.
But just how do you know that, to the market to get turmeric? I mean,
even ginger, we have different species.
There are other ones that are always very beautiful, and then you don't understand how they have been cleaned.
It's like garlic. It's like garlic. We have different species, the same. So these different species means there is one for medicinal use, there is another one for spicing. Exactly.
Okay.
Cinnamon the same. We have cinnamon scillion, which is medicinal. You have the common cinnamon or cinnamon cassia.
Stay woke, my people. Stay
so
woke.
When you come to our clinic, we have the medicinal turmeric, the medicinal ginger, we have the medicinal cinnamon. It's very different. Medicinal cayenne pepper is very different. Even you can add the medicinal cayenne pepper to turmeric to make it to be reabsorbed in the body.
Okay.
Yeah. So some things we take them, but they are never absorbed by the body. They just come out because they are supposed to be balanced with something else that will help the body to recognize there is something like that in the system.
All right.
And then the body will start using it to help to heal your system. So when we come to the diet for a pregnant mother or a pregnant woman, it is really complicated because of hormone issues. And I've said many times, because of hormones issue, the body rejects the foods that you're supposed to take at that time. That is why I say, when you prepare to get pregnant, prepare it for 3 months.
Prior.
Don't just wake up and think of getting pregnant.
Okay.
It will affect you and it will affect the baby. Because when you don't eat the right food, the only nutrients that you have been eating in the system, they will go to the baby. Then you will get deficiency. You yourself. Because the body will fight to take everything to the child. So that's why you find most of the people, when they get the baby, they start having problems from there. They get anemia, they get diabetes, they get hypertension. The reason is, during that 9 months, they couldn't eat well. Why? Not because they want. The hormones, they reject everything. And they get sick. If you force them to eat what they don't want, they get sick. So you prepare yourself for 3 months, eat the right food, detox the system, as we always say. You cleanse the kidney, the liver, the blood. Now start eating smoothies, juices, good seeds.
So on the process of detox, do not eat all, I mean, just limit the intake of foods.
Yeah, you detox the body first with medicine, then you limit the intake of food.
You know, the other time you gave me something to detox my body with, and I was busy detoxing, but equally eating in plenty, and drinking in plenty. And so my friend was like, wafanya biashara ya Sara.
So what we do, you curb the appetite with a fruit. I say, when you cleanse the colon because you feel hungry, you eat something like apple to curb it, you eat something like cucumber, you eat something like carrot. So don't cleanse, then you take a plate of chips. You're doing nothing. Yes, so you just curb it like that, or you do a smoothie. It will curb that urge of eating. Because sometimes we have what we call forced hunger. You're not hungry, but you have forced hunger. Yeah, the system is asking, you have that urge of food, you see? You are not hungry. That is forced hunger. So what do? You curb it with something that will not add you weight and will not toxify the system.
All right, and we come to these beautiful ones, red and green. I can read fruits and veggies.
Yes. So
here we come straight to the point.
Yes. Now,
if you've been keen enough from the word go.
Yes. We eat more vegetables. Why? More vegetables than fruits. I advocate more vegetables than fruits.
Okay.
Because vegetables, they are alkaline. And if your blood is alkaline, it's capable of fighting any kind of a disease. When you are diabetic, especially when you are diabetic and you have the issue of overweight, you don't need more fruits. You need more vegetables. Because vegetables are alkaline. Vegetables, they have less sugar. And they take long to be digested more than fruits. Fruits is just 3 hours, everything is assimilated, and the waste is out. The vegetables, they take 6 hours in the system to be digested. So these ones, they don't have more sugar. They are alkaline. And another thing, they are anti-inflammatory. Some fruits, they are not anti-inflammatory because they are acidic. So this one is alkaline, is anti-inflammatory. So I say, if you can use more vegetables, less fruits, we are good to go. And people, they do more fruits, and more fruits, they are acidic. Vegetables, they are alkaline. When you get that, you'll be able to know, why am I advocating for fruits, for vegetables, less fruits. And when you're diabetic, I say, try to eat, try to take green smoothies. Green smoothies, they help people with diabetes. Green smoothies, they help people with high blood pressure. Like celery is good for high blood pressure, beetroot is good for high blood pressure, celery is good for the bones. Even when you check the stalk, it looks like this bone here. Yes, it's very good. It's very good. It's very high in calcium and phosphorus. The celery. We have asparagus. We have bok choy. We have Chinese cabbage. You use them. You blend them. Don't cook them. When you cook them, you kill them. You eat them raw. When you eat them raw, they are alkaline. When you eat them cooked, they are acidic. That is why people, they will always have issue with gastritis, hyperacidity, bloating, sluggish the digestive system, fatigue. Why are you fatigued? Instead of your blood being thin like water, it is thick like porridge, because what you have put in the body is a lot of carbohydrates. And carbohydrates, they make you just to pump up when you put more than what the body needs. If you see anybody who has pumped up, you have put more than what the body needs. So what will the body do? It will deposit. Exactly. The more you eat, the body deposits. The more you eat, the body will deposit. So the more the body deposits, you don't give time for the body to burn. As we said the other day, the wider the waste, the higher the risk of diabetes and high blood pressure. When you see somebody with a tummy like this, I really feel for them. And I'm telling you, when they come to my place, I put them on detox and diet. Weight comes down and pressure goes down automatically. I say people doesn't have hypertension. They have food pressure, not high blood pressure. It is food pressure. And that's why you are given blood thinners. In the hospital, you are given blood thinner, which is okay because it will help you to prevent things like stroke. What is the work of blood thinner? We say about the viscosity of the blood. The blood is thick. So the blood thinner will thin that blood to help the circulation of the system.
Across the parts of the body,
yes, exactly. But now, will they remove the toxins that makes the blood to be thick?
They will not.
They will not.
So the toxins will be in
They just be circulating in the system and doing more harm.
Yeah.
You are still on blood thinners. You are still on hypertensive drugs. They are good. I don't say they are bad. Even when you come to my place, I don't tell you don't do drugs. You do them, but we detox as you're doing your drugs, and we change your diet. You find yourself, as the weight goes down, sugars goes down, and pressure goes down. If you don't have weight, you have pressure from within. As I always say, there are people who doesn't have weight at all, but they have pressure from within, which is not visible. So what we do is still cleanse them. We cleanse the system, and then even after a month, when they come back for review, I see different people. I'm like, okay, are you the one? Yes, because when you start healing, the skin shows.
Yes.
Yes, when you are sick, even your child when they are sick, you are like, Kwani, are you sick? Because you are seeing it through the skin, the face complexion. Yes. So when you start healing, the same thing, the skin will tell. When you remove toxins from the kidney, the liver, the blood, the circulatory system, the skin will tell. And then we start eating right. Because we start eating the right portion, the right food. Try to minimize intake of cooked food as much as possible. And especially, Linda, when you have 40 years. These people from 0 years to 30 enjoy, yes, because they are energetic, they run up and down, unless they are just seated in the house. That's when they need to check. But when you are over 40 years and above, we say take only 2 cooked meals. And if you're not busy, take 1 cooked meal. During the day, just take raw food, and it will keep you going.
Dr. Rose, thank you so much. You know, I keep saying that some of this information is out here, but we do not know.
Sure.
And sometimes when we give, people are not listening, but I hope the viewer that has been watching this morning has gotten key points. And it's not expensive, it's not difficult, it's possible, it's achievable. And sometimes they say it's a habit. So it's not always a disease when it's a habit, because when you get this habit, you get used to it. It's a good thing. It's actually a good disease.
Sometimes they ask me, how can I eat raw food? Where will I get those raw food? You see, Linda, if you take spinach, coriander, and avocado, that is enough. Put them in a blender. Coriander is dania.
Yes.
Take avocado, spinach, coriander. Put them in a blender. Blend. Tomorrow, take pumpkin leaves, spinach, avocado. Blend. You have them there. We have wild edibles like chickweed, blackjack. You know blackjack?
I know blackjack.
Yeah, it's edible. Wow. When it is the tender leaves, it's edible. You put them in a blender. Take chickweed, put it in we have the delion. The delion,
I know it.
You know it?
Yeah.
Yes, you take them, you put, even I saw them when I was walking at the pavement there. Yes, the delion. Yeah. So you take them, you put them in a blender, you put avocado. If you want to sweeten, you can put pineapples.
Okay.
You can put honey kidogo. If you are not diabetic, you put honey kidogo. If you are diabetic, put some Himalayan salt. Sweeten it with some cayenne pepper. Then blend. Take, not unless you take broccoli where you cannot get broccoli, not unless you take asparagus, bok choy, Chinese cabbage. Take the common cabbage we have, take the red cabbage we have, take what we call beetroot. Beetroot is all over. And beetroot leaves are highly nutritious than the beetroot itself.
Oh.
Yes, the beetroot leaves.
How many times do we even get to see the beetroot leaves?
Carrot leaves. They're edible, yeah. You put them in a blender, blend them and take. So some people, they tell me, because I come from the village, where will I get all this? I tell them, yes, just still outside your compound.
Okay, well.
So when they want to check, they can check on my Facebook page. Adam's Natural Health Center.
Adam's Natural Health Center.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Adam's Natural Health Center. You've had it. You have no reason whatsoever kusema it's expensive. It's all this. And if you can take blackjack, honestly, nani anakuzia blackjack?
Imagine.
Go out there, pluck them up, and enjoy and live a healthy life. Thank you so much, Dr. Rose. It was good having you this morning, as I look forward to have you some more and more. But before I go, we got goodies for you right here. The Home of Untold Stories is equally the home of goodies. So today we are philanthropic enough. We say if you're active on SMS short code, that is 22047. Get it right. It's on your screen. 22047. Come there. We got questions for you. Simple questions, by the way. The lovers of, So Much Love and Destiny. These are soap operas that run at 6 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. The questions are as easy as what you can see right there. The sixth one, that is 6 p.m. at 6 to 7 is So Much Love, and 8 to 9 is Destiny. Look at the questions there. Look at the simple question. Name the character. Come on, watching this soap opera. Look at what it is that you're getting today. Answer and win 500 airtime. Nani anaweza kupatia hata wewe last time uliweka airtime ya 500 nilini. I mean, why don't you take advantage of that? It's pretty simple, and we'll be running this campaign for quite a long time, so make sure that you're always there. I mean, you get entertainment and we pay you to enjoy. Take advantage of this. So Much Love, Destiny. That is TV47. For me, I'm not able, or I'm not allowed to do that. I can only watch and enjoy the soap opera. So for you, I'm calling you to watch and enjoy the soap opera, and boom, 500 airtime. You get it on your phone. It doesn't matter how many times. Ukijibu hata mara 10 ni wewe unapata hiyo 500. So why don't you take advantage of that? Remember the SMS short code 22047. It is right there on your screen. Name the character there and you get that answer, and you get 500 bob worth of airtime. Pop, it's as simple as that. I am here checking